Chapter 736. Sect Master Tsang, you don't have to go to the ancient Shadow Temple. Just stay here and take care of the sect. I'm afraid that some thieves might come to my stately river star to steal things while the heavenly emperors are away. Ning Qing knew that the ancient Shadow Temple must be extremely dangerous. Moreover, after he secretly provoked them, everyone became even more united. Therefore, he didn't want Song Caihe to take the risk. Ning Qing felt very satisfied with his provocation. He could never let Chuan Xinluo and the other heavenly emperors join forces. He had to find some trouble for Chuan Xinluo. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died. In fact, Ning Qing thought too much. Even if he didn't provoke them, Chuan Xinluo, Zhangkong Tianji, and Qiao Jierui wouldn't have peed together. Yes, Sect Master. I will protect stately River Star and the mysterious Yellow Sect. Song Caihe quickly responded. Ning Qing smiled and turned to leave the guest hall. He didn't even bother to say hello. Although he was weak right now, after he advanced to the Eternal Realm, he would visit everyone here one by one as long as they didn't die. When the rest of the cultivators saw Ning Qing leave, they also followed Ning Qing out of the guest hall. Chuan Xinluo's anger only lasted for a moment before he calmed down. He didn't even bother to explain. This Ning Qing really admired this person. If it was replaced by him, then he would definitely retort back in a sarcastic manner. It seemed that his temperament was still lacking compared to Chuan Xinluo's. After Ning Qing sealed off the ancient Shadow Temple, and stately River Star's entry and exit became strictly controlled, the outside of the ancient Shadow Temple was once again covered with snow. The bustling atmosphere from a few months ago seemed to have disappeared and turned cold. Sect Master Ning's attainments in the Tao of array formations are indeed formidable. Standing here, I can only feel the restriction of array formations, but I can't sense where the array base is. Sun Jihe, who always had a smile on her face, suddenly spoke up. Fu Yingkue immediately followed up, yes, if we all enter the ancient Shadow Temple, and Sect Master Ning suddenly seals the ancient Shadow Temple, hehe. Ning Qing didn't bother with Fu Yingkue at all. He raised his hand and shot out several array flags, and a dark entrance appeared in front of everyone. In fact, not only Ning Qing, but even the other eternal holy emperors didn't take Fu Yingkue's words to heart. As soon as the entrance of the ancient Shadow Temple appeared, Zhangkong Tianji rushed in. Immediately after, the rest of the eternal level powerhouses entered the ancient Shadow Temple one by one. Ning Qing stayed behind. Seeing Fu Yingkue still standing outside hesitantly, he gave a cold snort and said, if you don't have the guts to go in, then get the hell out of stately River Star for this emperor. Don't embarrass yourself here. You. When Fu Yingkue heard Ning Qing's words, his anger immediately flared up. Ning Qing raised his hand and brought out the Nirvana spear before speaking with a calm voice, I'll give you 3 breaths. If you don't go in, then get the hell out of stately River Star. Otherwise. Ning Qing didn't finish his words, but the murderous aura overflowing from his celestial river domain had already enveloped Fu Yingkue. After realizing that Ning Qing's laws of time were fake, Fu Yingkue's impression of Ning Qing immediately soured. But now that everyone had entered the ancient Shadow Temple, facing Ning Qing alone, he felt an inexplicable fear rising in his heart. For a moment, he really wanted to leave stately River Star. In the end, his pride overcame his fear, and with a cold snort, he rushed into the ancient Shadow Temple. Ning Qing was the last to enter the ancient Shadow Temple and sealed the entrance again. By the time Ning Qing came in, the people who came in before him had already entered the innermost area. The things on the periphery of the ancient Shadow Temple weren't attractive enough for these eternal experts. Moreover, none of these eternal cultivators were stupid. None of them stayed on the outside and rushed straight into the innermost area. As for worrying about getting trapped by Ning Qing's array formations, it was just a joke. No matter how powerful Ning Qing's array formations were, he couldn't trap more than a dozen eternal cultivators at the same time. The poisonous mist that overflowed outside had also dissipated. Ning Cheng also didn't stay on the periphery and quickly headed towards the Real Ancient Shadow Temple. When Ning Cheng arrived at the edge of the Ancient Shadow Temple's poisonous mist, more than a dozen eternal cultivators had already arrived. However, none of them rushed into the mist. Apparently, they all knew about the dangers of the mist here. It was no different from the last time he came here. It was still shrouded in a poisonous mist, and one's spiritual consciousness could only penetrate more than 10 feet. Even spiritual consciousness can't penetrate this place. Moreover, this mist has a hint of murderous aura. It's too strange. Fu Yingkue stood behind Gua Sangan and spoke with a worried tone. Yi Jiufeng sneered, just because your spiritual consciousness can't penetrate it doesn't mean that others can't. Ning Cheng glanced at Yi Jiufeng in doubt. It stood to reason that Yi Jiufeng and Chuan Xinluo would never ridicule Chuan Xinluo's little brother, Fu Yingkue. Sect Master Ning, you've been here once. Do you have any good ideas? After Yi Jiufeng ridiculed Fu Yingkue, she asked Ning Cheng with a smile. Ning Cheng quickly waved his hand, my cultivation is low. It's already lucky that I can stand in this place. How can I think of any good ideas? As for the several starry sky heavenly emperors, I'll just follow behind and cheer. Xiao Jierue gave a cold snort, what's the use of shouting and cheering? Since everyone came to this place together, we should work together. If you don't have the ability, then just retreat. If you want to share the treasures of the ancient Shadow Temple, then go in together. If you don't think you're qualified to get the treasures, then stay outside. After saying that, Xiao Jierue rushed in first. Ning Cheng initially thought that Demon Domain's Zhongkong Tianji would be the first to rush in. He never expected that it would be Xiao Jierue. After Xiao Jierue rushed in, the rest of the eternal powerhouses naturally wouldn't show any weakness. Since they came here, no one felt that they weren't qualified to get the treasures. As soon as they entered the poisonous mist, everyone's cultivation could be clearly distinguished. Among the people who rushed into the mist, except for the 4 grand Starry Sky Emperors, the rest all brought out defensive weapons. Chuan Xinluo, Xiao Jierue, Zhongkong Tianji, and Yi Jiufeng didn't bring out any defensive weapons. As such, when the mist fell on them, it didn't affect them at all. Guo Jingtian, who had a lower cultivation, not only brought out a weapon after Ning Cheng taught him a lesson, but he also put on a set of defensive armor over his body. Ning Cheng followed behind them without any hurry. He was a body forging expert with a starry sky body, so he naturally didn't need to bring out any weapons. However, he still brought out a defensive shield. He could tell that Chuan Xinluo and Zhongkong Tianji were both body forging experts, which meant that they didn't fear the poisonous mist in this place. As for Yi Jiufeng and Xiao Jierue, they most likely cultivated a powerful defensive cultivation method. Seeing Ning Cheng also bring out a defensive shield, Gua Sangan felt inexplicably relieved. After everyone entered the mist 100 feet deep, they saw the gate with the words Ancient Shadow Temple written on it. Bursts of mournful whimpering sounds came from behind the gate, which looked very strange. But among the people who came here, the lowest cultivation was at the early stage Eternal Realm. Therefore, no one felt afraid of the whimpering sounds coming from behind the gate. Sure enough, it's the real Ancient Shadow Temple. Xiao Jirue's eyes flashed with a hint of heat, let's attack this gate together. With more than a dozen of us in the Eternal Realm attacking this gate won't last long. I agree. Let's attack directly. I'll start first. Zhongkong Tianji was the first to stand up. Immediately after, the rest of the people agreed to attack. But Ning Cheng suddenly spoke up, Dao friends, I also agree to attack. Before we attack, I hope that Dao friends can allow me to arrange a ceiling array formation here. As for what exactly is inside the ancient Shadow Temple, none of us knows. In case something terrible comes out, we can just pat our butts and leave. This is my stately river star, and I have to be responsible for the countless lives of my stately river star. Humph, It's just a bunch of ants. If they die, then they die. What's there to say? Xiao Jirui gave a cold snort. He didn't care about Ning Qing before because it had nothing to do with his interests. But now that they were about to enter the ancient Shadow Temple, Ning Qing still wanted to waste time arranging array formations for some ants, which naturally made him unhappy. Ning Qing's tone suddenly turned cold. Xiao Jirui, you're right. If the things inside cause the destruction of my stately river star, I will go to the Devil Domain Grand Starry Sky. I will refine the planets one by one and turn them all into my back garden. You dare. Xiao Jirui's anger immediately flared up. He didn't put Ning Qing in his eyes at all. It was because Ning Qing didn't provoke him before. But now, Ning Qing dared to provoke him, Xiao Jirui. Did he think that Xiao Jirui was someone like Gua Jingtian? That was simply courting death. Ning Qing didn't fear Xiao Jirui's power and spoke up in a cold voice, my stately river star's people are ants, and your devil domain's people are nobles, right? Xiao Jirui, let's see if I dare or not. Xiao Jirui felt that his powerful domain couldn't tear apart Ning Qing's domain and felt extremely shocked. He couldn't think of anyone else besides the three heavenly emperors who could match him in terms of domains. If he couldn't kill such a person in one go, it would only lead to endless troubles in the future. Yi Jiufen giggled and stood up. It doesn't take long for Sect Master Ning to arrange an array formation. We can still wait for a bit of time. Xiao Jirui didn't speak again. After clashing with Ning Qing's domain, he didn't want to continue fighting against Ning Qing. No one thought that Xiao Jirui listened to Yi Jiufen's words. Everyone understood that Xiao Jirui had sensed Ning Qing's strength. Chuan Xinluo frowned slightly. Did Ning Qing have the strength to make Xiao Jirui feel fear? In any case, Yi Jiufen had at least one thing right. Ning Qing arranged array formations quickly. In just half an hour, Ning Qing arranged a sealing array formation outside the ancient Shadow Temple's entrance. Although this array formation could also seal the cultivators inside, no one cared about it. Everyone here was an eternal-level powerhouse, so why would they fear Ning Qing's rank 8 sealing array? Now that the array formation has been arranged, let's start attacking. Zhongkong Tianji finished and didn't wait for the others to start. He brought out an iron rod first. As he raised his hand, the iron rod instantly transformed into a huge cylinder. As the cylinder slammed into the ancient Shadow Temple's entrance, a dull roar erupted. Everyone could feel the ground beneath their feet trembling with just that one move. Chapter 737. With Zhongkong Tianji taking action, the rest of the cultivators didn't continue to watch and immediately brought out their weapons to attack. With so many eternal-level powerhouses attacking the ancient Shadow Temple's entrance at the same time, just as Xiao Jirui guessed, the ancient Shadow Temple's entrance trembled violently, as if it would burst open the next moment. Catcha! After another round of bombardment, a crack finally appeared on the ancient Shadow Temple's entrance, and a trace of nether wind emerged from the crack. The ancient Shadow Temple's entrance wasn't that big, and with more than a dozen eternal-level holy emperors attacking it, it looked quite dense. Ning Qing didn't even have the chance to squeeze through, let alone attack. But after the crack appeared on the entrance, a trace of nether wind rushed out. Ning Qing immediately felt something wrong and immediately retreated. After cultivating to the eternal realm, one's sixth sense naturally became more powerful. Not only Ning Qing, but even the rest of the people also felt a little strange. Everyone stopped attacking at the same time, but at this moment, the ancient Shadow Temple's entrance suddenly burst open. A violent and cold aura rushed out, and this time, even the 4 heavenly emperors brought out their defensive weapons. Ning Qing especially noticed that Chuan Xinluo's defensive weapon was a tower, while Xiao Jirui's defensive weapon was a devil gong. But what everyone didn't expect was that after the violent Yin Qi rushed out and hit everyone's weapons, it instantly changed its direction. From a violent explosion, it turned into a powerful suction force. If an ordinary cultivator were to face such a powerful transformation, they would not be able to react in time and would be turned into slag. Of the dozen eternal level powerhouses here, only Guojing Tian, who Ning Cheng had seriously injured, couldn't resist the suction force. He directly got sucked into the ancient shadow temple and let out a scream before disappearing without a trace. Fu Yingkui was only at the middle stage of the eternal realm. But he had seen Guojing Tian get sucked in. Feeling his soul dispersing, he had to use his trump card to retreat. Probably because he retreated too quickly, he ended up in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had long since found this fellow unpleasant to the eye. So, without hesitation, he raised his foot and kicked. Fu Yingkui clearly felt Ning Cheng's kick, but he found that he couldn't avoid it. His domain felt like thin ice in front of Ning Cheng and shattered in an instant. Bang! Ning Cheng's kick landed on Fu Yingkui's back. Under the powerful suction force of the nether wind inside the ancient shadow temple, Fu Yingkui flew inside like a kite with a broken string. Fu Yingkui felt horrified in his heart. Only he knew how insidious Ning Cheng's kick was. Ning Cheng took advantage of the fact that he had focused all his attention on the nether wind to seal off his domain in an instant, making it so that he could not use it. Seeing Ning Cheng kick Fu Yingkui into the ancient shadow temple, Chuan Xinluo suddenly brought out the pagoda in his hand. The body of the pagoda instantly expanded and became like a wall, blocking Fu Yingkui's path. Fu Yingkui's back broke out in a cold sweat, and his celestial essence and spiritual consciousness returned to his body. He took in a deep breath and bowed to Chuan Xinluo, "Many thanks for Heavenly Emperor's help." Chuan Xinluo nodded to Fu Yingkui before turning around and staring at Ning Cheng coldly. "Sect Master Ning, what do you mean by this? Everyone joined forces to enter the ancient shadow temple, yet you plotted behind our backs." Most people had seen Ning Cheng's kick just now. Therefore, after Chuan Xinluo saved Fu Yingkui and questioned Ning Cheng, the rest of the people also looked at Ning Cheng, wondering how Ning Cheng would explain it. Ning Cheng spoke up without any hurry, "Leveled heart Heavenly Emperor, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't speak whatever you want. What do you mean by plotting behind our backs? At that time, who didn't protect themselves? I was also flustered. Fu Yingkui bumped into me, how do I know he didn't want to plot against me? Is it wrong for me to defend myself? If I wanted to deal with Fu Yingkui, I would have just brought out my weapon. Why would I need to use my leg? Does Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor think that I should have fallen into a plot? Even if I didn't fall into a plot, I should have at least bumped into him. Chuan Xinluo, does this emperor owe you anything? This emperor let you search for treasures in my stately River Star's ancient shadow temple, yet you keep making things difficult for this emperor. You have a good fortune treasure, but did I ask you for it? Do you think that you have the aura of a bastard? If you don't want to stay here, then get out of here for this emperor. This emperor doesn't welcome shameless people like you. If the first half of Ning Cheng's words were a polite explanation, then the second half directly turned into curses. Chuan Xinluo's face turned livid with anger, and murderous aura overflowed from his body. Even the pagoda in his hand gave out hissing sounds. Since Chuan Xinluo wanted to fight against Ning Cheng, no one wanted to stand up and speak up. Although striking order Heavenly Emperor was Ning Cheng's accomplice, he couldn't openly help Ning Cheng deal with his nominal boss at this time. As for Qiao Jierui, he couldn't wait for Chuan Xinluo and Ning Cheng to fight. Yi Jiufeng didn't know why, but she didn't speak up at this time. Courting death, how dare you be rude to the Heavenly Emperor? The ordinary-looking middle-stage eternal powerhouse standing next to Chuan Xinluo took a step forward and shouted. After Guojing Tian fell, Gua Sangan's face had turned ugly. Now that he saw Ning Cheng courting death and taking the initiative to fight against Chuan Xinluo, he also sneered and stood up, "Surnamed Ning, I've long since disliked you. You actually want to fight against the Heavenly Emperor?" In just a blink of an eye, it turned into 3 against 1. Zhangkong Tianji showed a smile, "Sure enough, you're shameless. 3 against 1. Brother Leveled Heart, I really admire you." Chuan Xinluo's face turned ugly. He had stood up for Fu Yingkue, but this bastard was scared out of his wits by Ning Cheng and didn't dare to take the initiative to stand up. What a coward. In fact, Fu Yingkue truly felt scared out of his wits by Ning Cheng. Only he and Guo Jingtian dared to go tit for tat against Ning Cheng. But now, before they even entered the ancient Shadow Temple, Guo Jingtian had already died, and he almost died as a result. If not for Chuan Xinluo's help, he might have already died at the hands of the ancient Shadow Temple. He wasn't the one with the lowest cultivation here. Tang Yitong was only at the early stage Eternal Realm. Even Jin Ming Qinhua's cultivation was lower than his. Why was he the one in the most danger? He suspected that this place had something to do with Ning Cheng. Why would he find trouble with Ning Cheng? He didn't even dare to look at Ning Cheng, let alone find trouble with him. Yi Jiufeng could see that Chuan Xinluo didn't want to kill Ning Cheng in this place, so she simply bought a favor and said with a chuckle, "Everyone, let's not quarrel. The nether wind in the ancient Shadow Temple has disappeared. We can go in and have a look now." Sure enough, everyone found that the nether wind in the ancient Shadow Temple had disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by a dark passageway. Guo Jingtian, who got sucked in before, had disappeared without a trace. Seeing that no one took the initiative to go in, Zhangkong Tianji snorted, "Since everyone is so timid, I'll be the first to go in." After saying that, Zhangkong Tianji really took the lead and entered the ancient Shadow Temple. As Zhangkong Tianji stepped into the pitch-black passageway, an incomparably hollow echo reverberated through the air, causing everyone's heart to shiver. Since Zhangkong Tianji went in, the rest naturally felt embarrassed to stay outside. Everyone then stepped into the dark passage one after another. Zhangkong Tianji's footsteps alone felt a little hollow, but with so many people stepping into the dark passage at the same time, the hollow feeling grew even stronger. It felt as if their hearts would burst open at any time. Ning Cheng was still the last to enter. At the entrance of the ancient Shadow Temple, he arranged a few ceiling arrays in a leisurely manner. Although everyone knew what Ning Cheng wanted to do, no one wanted to take the initiative to stop him. Ning Cheng didn't even put Chuan Xinluo in his eyes. From this, one could imagine that no matter who stood up to stop him, he would do the same. Not only would they not stop Ning Cheng, but they would also end up offending Ning Cheng. The dark passage wasn't very long, and more than a dozen people quickly reached the end and came to a pentagonal hall. There was also a restriction outside the hall. But by the time Ning Cheng finished arranging the array formations, the restriction had already been broken, and 5 golden boxes appeared in the 5 corners of the hall. Although the boxes in each corner were sealed by restrictions, the golden light still looked extremely dazzling. Ning Cheng always had a high awareness of snatching treasures. He immediately rushed to the box in the middle and threw out a few array flags to protect his position. Of the 5 boxes, no matter what, grabbing the one in the middle would never go wrong. Whether the treasures were ranked from left to right or right to left, the box in the middle would never be the worst. If the treasures in the middle were the best, then he would have picked up a bargain. Ning Cheng reacted quickly, but the others also didn't slow down. Soon, Zhangkong Tianji, Yi Jiufeng and her attendant Shi Jinyu, Xiao Jirue and Devil Domain's Shi Haoyan each occupied a corner. Striking order, Tang Yitong, Shen Mao, Wu Hong, Sun Jihe, Mu Hao and Gua Sangan each occupied a corner. The only ones who didn't get anything were Chuan Xinluo, Jin Ming Qianhua, Fu Yingkue and Yang Yu, Chuan Xinluo's attendant. Jin Ming Qianhua's strength was too low and missed the opportunity. Fu Yingkue, on the other hand, was scared out of his wits by Ning Cheng and didn't dare to snatch it. As for Chuan Xinluo and Yang Yu, they couldn't grab a corner because Ning Cheng had already snatched the thing they wanted. In fact, when the 5 boxes came out, Chuan Xinluo and Ning Cheng both had the same idea, which was to snatch the one in the middle. It's just that Ning Cheng came at the right time, and his speed was extremely fast, allowing him to snatch it before Chuan Xinluo. By the time Chuan Xinluo arrived in front of Ning Cheng Ning Cheng had already arranged several defensive arrays around the corner. He knew that he couldn't break the restrictions and take away the box in a short time. Therefore, he decided to arrange defensive arrays to protect the box first. Get out of the way. At this time, Chuan Xinluo no longer cared about his face. He had come in with great difficulty, yet he didn't get anything, so why would he care about his face? Ning Cheng looked at Chuan Xinluo sarcastically. What's wrong? Are you ready to snatch it? Chuan Xinluo spoke up in a cold voice. You didn't even make a move against the defensive arrays of this hall. What right do you have to snatch a box? Ning Cheng laughed. I've seen shameless people before, but Chuan Xinluo, this is the first time I've seen someone as shameless as you. I didn't make a move. Are you blind? When you came in, who arranged the array formations outside? I didn't let you arrange a ceiling array formation out of kindness, yet you still shamelessly talk in front of me. Chuan Xinluo looked at Ning Cheng as if he was looking at a dead man and spoke to Yang Yu behind him. I want to see if Sect Master Ning's skills are as good as his mouth. You don't have to do anything. Yang Yu nodded and retreated. However, everyone here knew that Chuan Xinluo's words weren't meant for Yang Yu, but for the other heavenly emperors. He didn't want anyone to talk nonsense while he and Ning Cheng fought. Chapter 738. Chuan Xinluo looked very casual. He raised his hand and threw out the white pagoda in his hand. He didn't even bring out an attack-type weapon, which showed that he didn't put Ning Cheng in his eyes at all. Ning Cheng couldn't wait for Chuan Xinluo to look down on him. This time, he didn't bring out the Nirvana spear. The Nirvana spear was indeed hard, but no matter how hard the Nirvana spear was, it was still just a material. Ning Cheng brought out a semi-top grade Dao artifact long spear, which Ning Cheng had refined when arranging the star-protecting grand array. It was also the best Dharma treasure he had refined so far. Ning Cheng's long spear hadn't fully activated when Chuan Xinluo's white pagoda emitted one white light after another. Ning Cheng relied on his starry sky body as a body-forging expert and didn't care about the white light at first. However, when these white lights tore through his domain, Ning Cheng realized that something was wrong. These white lights not only easily tore through his domain, but they also contained a trace of powerful Dao charm aura. This aura made it hard for him to breathe, and it even made him want to kneel down in front of it. Chuan Xinluo hadn't even used his killer move yet, but this aura alone suppressed him to the point that he found it hard to breathe. Chuan Xinluo was too powerful. Ning Cheng originally wanted to keep the everlasting Blue Thunder City, but at this moment, how could he dare to hold back? The next moment, he brought out the everlasting Blue Thunder City. As soon as the everlasting Blue Thunder City came out, it turned into a Thunder City covered in faint thunder light. The thunder light within the Thunder City was faintly visible, but the ancient city walls on the edge of the Thunder City were clearly visible. The lightning bolts shuttling through the Thunder City gave off an astonishing aura. Pa-pa-pa-pa-pa. Chuan Xinluo's white pagoda's light bombarded Ning Cheng's everlasting Blue Thunder City and erupted with crackling sounds. In a flash, thunder light overflowed and white light exploded. Ning Cheng felt the pressure on him instantly lighten, and he finally breathed a sigh of relief. The cultivators watching from the sidelines felt shocked, not only by Chuan Xinluo's power, but also by Ning Cheng's heaven-defying Thunder City weapon. The eternal-level heavenly emperors joined forces to seal the thunder light, which didn't affect the hull. Good Thunder City, good weapon. Yi Jiufeng was a weapon collector. So when she saw Ning Cheng's Thunder City weapon, her eyes immediately lit up. Everyone understood that Ning Cheng wasn't Chuan Xinluo's opponent. In this exchange, Chuan Xinluo had not even used his full strength, yet Ning Cheng seemed to have taken out his trump card. Chuan Xinluo's eyes lit up when he saw Ning Cheng's Thunder City. Sect Master Ning really has a lot of treasures. You can even block the circulation of my burning sky eroding sun pagoda's Dao charm with just a Thunder City. However, if Sect Master Ning only has this much ability, then don't blame me for being impolite. Ning Cheng, Xinluo said serenely, Ning Cheng, Xinlo, Ning, Chuan Xinlo knew that Ning Cheng would quibble. Therefore, he didn't want to waste any more words with Ning Cheng and gave a cold snort. Sword Dao is like a mountain. Chi chi. A series of tearing sounds rang out as the white Dao aura around the inferno sky eroding sun pagoda instantly changed. Then, countless cyan sword lights whizzed out from the pagoda. Tens of thousands of cyan sword lights turned into a sword array, which completely locked down the space around Ningcheng. At the same time, the Dao charm of the burning sky eroding sun pagoda connected the sword array's lights and formed a sword waterfall. Under the restraint of this sword light's Dao charm and domain, ordinary eternal cultivators couldn't even move, let alone resist. This was also a spirit technique, but it was more effective than other spirit techniques. Using one's own weapon to bring out a sword waterfall, it suppressed the space around it, leaving the opponent no room to resist. Although these sword waterfalls had fused with Chuan Xinlo's Dao charm, which allowed them to control this space, these sword waterfalls still weren't in their most powerful form. After these sword waterfalls connected, the sword waterfalls reversed and once again formed sword peaks, looking like an endless mountain range. Any living creature would turn into slag in the face of this ever-changing sword waterfall and mountain range. Ning Cheng's everlasting Blue Thunder City, under this spirit technique, looked even smaller. The sword lights extinguished one after another, and the Blue Thunder City also started to get cut down by the sword lights. Finally, the Blue Thunder City completely turned into nothingness. Rather than calling it a city, it would be better to call it a dilapidated ruin. Maximal fire. Ning Cheng remained calm. He could feel that there was still a gap between him and Chuan Xinlo. However, if Chuan Xinlo wanted to kill him so easily, it would only be a dream. Boom! A fiery explosion tore through the middle of the Sword Mountain. A violent void collapse gushed out, and the Sword Mountain and Sword Waterfalls condensed by Chuan Xinlo disappeared under the violent void collapse. A terrifying flame burst out from the middle of the collapse, followed by a flame mark along with an axe intent and a spear intent shooting out in all directions along with the flame. After the void collapse swept away 70% of the Sword Mountain that Chuan Xinlo had sent towards Ningcheng, the fire patterns and axe intent turned the rest into nothingness. After the explosion, the entire hall quieted down again. Ningcheng stood in place without moving. Apart from his messy hair, no one could see that he was at a disadvantage. The burning sky eroding sun pagoda in Chuan Xinlo's hand turned a little dimmer, and he looked at Ningcheng in disbelief. That wasn't a space-related spirit technique, but a space-related spirit technique. Yi Jiufeng sighed and spoke slowly. Xiao Jirue sneered, the laws of time are also infinitely close to it, and the laws of space are also specious. I might as well use a fake spirit technique. Wouldn't it save a lot of effort if everything was fake? No one spoke up. Everyone knew that even if Ningcheng didn't use a real space-related spirit technique, it was still not something to be taken lightly. If it were them, they couldn't guarantee that they could block Chuan Xinlo's sword Dao Mountain. No wonder you're so arrogant. You do have a few tricks up your sleeves. You've really mastered these fake laws. Chuan Xinlo sneered, and the burning sky eroding sun pagoda once again soared, turning into 1,000 feet tall white pagoda. If it weren't for the fact that one couldn't see the top of this hall, this burning sky eroding sun pagoda would have already burst through this place. The burning sky eroding sun pagoda directly shot towards Ningcheng, causing Ningcheng's celestial river domain to shatter like a spider web. Under the suppression of the burning sky eroding sun pagoda, the newly perfected everlasting Blue Thunder City also began to shrink. At the same time, the lightning arcs in the Blue Thunder City no longer posed any threat to the burning sky eroding sun pagoda. Catcha! A crisp sound emerged from the Blue Thunder City, and Ningcheng spat out a mouthful of blood. Chuan Xinlo's strength was just too strong, so strong that even with the everlasting Blue Thunder City, he couldn't resist it for even half a moment. Seeing Ningcheng spitting out blood, Chuan Xinlo sneered, "Do you think you can use fire?" Today, I'll show you my burning sky eroding sun. Burning sky eroding sun was a spirit technique, and the burning sky eroding sun pagoda came to be because of this spirit technique. Ning Cheng had angered Chuan Xinluo. Although Chuan Xinluo had other spirit techniques, he decided to use this spirit technique and the pagoda to crush Ning Cheng to pieces. Not to mention Ning Cheng, even the cultivators watching from the sidelines could feel a kind of difficulty in breathing. Striking Order's eyes flashed with horror. He had thought that if he and Ning Cheng joined forces, even Chuan Xinluo would have to fear them. But now he realized that if Chuan Xinluo wanted to kill him, even if he and Ning Cheng joined forces, it would be useless. Chuan Xinluo was too powerful, so powerful that he couldn't even imagine it. Moreover, he could already feel the pressure coming from the array against Ning Cheng. If Chuan Xinluo attacked him, what would he do? He definitely couldn't stand still in the face of such a terrifying pressure like Ning Cheng. This Ning Cheng really wasn't simple. Fortunately, he didn't offend him. Not only Striking Order, but even Yi Jiufeng, Xiao Jierui, Zhangkong Tianji and the others also showed fear on their faces. Chuan Xinluo rarely showed his true strength, but today, they finally realized Chuan Xinluo's true strength. Seeing Ning Cheng vomiting blood under the suppression, Chuan Xinluo sneered, "Sect Master Ning, this is not my most powerful Dao Charm Spirit technique. If you can hold on, I will show you what a real Dao Charm Spirit technique looks like. Unfortunately, from the looks of it, you won't be able to hold on to my burning sky eroding Sunday." Chuan Xinluo's words made the hearts of Yi Jiufeng and the others sink. Yi Jiufeng had always thought that Zhangkong Tianji was the most powerful among the four of them. But now, it seems that Chuan Xinluo, who usually kept a smile on his face, was the most terrifying fellow. Boom! A burst of white flames erupted from the burning sky eroding sun pagoda. Before the flames came out, everyone could already feel the pressure. But now that the flames came out, the terrifying heat pressure became even more unbearable. Tang Yitang and Striking Order looked at Ning Cheng sympathetically. In this case, even if one brought out a defensive weapon to block this terrifying burning sky eroding sun flame, it would still be difficult, let alone fight back. Striking Order made up his mind that after this matter, he would once again seek refuge with Chuan Xinluo. Even if Chuan Xinluo wanted to take away his Striking Order Starry Sky, he could only let him be. Ning Cheng didn't show any sadness or joy. He didn't even bring out a weapon to block Chuan Xinluo's flames. Although the burning sky eroding sun flame was powerful, as long as it didn't hit his body, it wouldn't affect his Starry Sky body. Just when the burning sky eroding sun pagoda and the endless white flames were about to wrap around Ning Cheng, and when everyone was ready to watch Ning Cheng burn to ashes, Ning Cheng slowly thrust out the long spear in his hand. Ning Cheng's spear thrust didn't feel like he was attacking his opponent, but rather like sending a flower to his lover. It was gentle and without any impatience. What does he want to do? Everyone looked at Ning Cheng in amazement. No one knew what Ning Cheng wanted to do right now. No, he didn't seem to be affected by the burning sky eroding sun, which was a bit strange. Yi Jiufeng was the first to see the difference in Ning Cheng, and her eyes immediately lit up. Chuan Xinluo also felt that something was wrong. Ning Cheng didn't seem to fear his burning sky eroding sun spirit technique, nor did he fear his burning sky eroding sun pagoda turning into 1,000 feet tall mountain peak. At this moment, Chuan Xinluo felt that time around him had come to a standstill. It felt as if a dusk had risen in front of his eyes, slow and sad. Chuan Xinluo sneered. Using this pseudo-spirit technique against him. Did Ning Cheng go blind? But the next moment, Chuan Xinluo felt that something was wrong. He couldn't tear apart this pseudo-spirit technique. No, this wasn't a pseudo-spirit technique. This was the real laws of time. Time seemed to have come to a standstill at this moment. Even his burning sky eroding sun pagoda and burning sky eroding sun spirit technique had come to a standstill. He couldn't feel the flow of anything. When Chuan Xinluo thought of this, his consciousness also came to a standstill. Only his horrified eyes stared at Ning Cheng's slowly approaching long spear. Chapter 739. Laws of Time. This is the real laws of time spirit technique. Xiao Jirui stared at the motionless Chuan Xinluo and muttered to himself. His eyes flashed with a hint of panic. Even he couldn't control the laws of time, yet Ning Cheng managed to control a trace of the laws of time. This was definitely not a fake divine ability or a fake time law. This was the true law of time, without the slightest bit of falsehood. After Xiao Jirui saw Ning Cheng's laws of time, he felt a hint of regret in his heart. He shouldn't have angered Ning Cheng for those trivial things. Since Ning Cheng could control the laws of time at such a young age, as long as he didn't fall, his future wouldn't be any smaller than Xiao Jirui's. Not only Xiao Jirui, but Yi Jiufeng, Zhangkong Tianji, and the others were also shocked. Yi Jiufeng had already planned to snatch Ning Cheng's things. But as soon as Ning Cheng's laws of time came out, the idea disappeared in an instant. Ning Cheng was much more terrifying than she had imagined. No wonder Tsang Tsaihe addressed him as senior. Even Striking Order Heavenly Emperor, who had the most time stones and was the closest to the laws of time, couldn't help but stare at Ning Cheng in disbelief. He couldn't understand how Ning Cheng could control the laws of time. All the people stared at Ning Cheng's slowly advancing spear, although the spear was not aimed at any one of them. But in the eyes of all the spectating cultivators, they could see a wisp of a bleak and beautiful setting sun, and they could faintly see their own dusk. The cultivators watching Ning Cheng's actions all hoped that the setting sun would not fall. Once the setting sun fell, it would feel as if their lives would come to an end, and they would no longer have a glorious moment. Ning Cheng's face remained calm, as he slowly pulled out his spear. This spear still contained all the celestial essence in it, without holding back at all. Facing a powerhouse like Chuan Xinluo, he couldn't hold back. However, this spear wasn't Ning Cheng's most powerful spirit technique. After he came into contact with the Tao of Returning to One, his most powerful move, Sunset's Twilight, was a fusion of the None to Depend On spirit technique. Any divine ability could be fused together to become one. He didn't fuse with the None to Depend On spear. He still held back. Because Chuan Xinluo was too powerful, even if he stimulated all of his celestial essence, he could only thrust his spear slowly. From this, Ning Cheng understood that if he fused with the None to Depend On spirit technique, the long spear would move even slower. His laws of time couldn't last for too long. If he fused too many spirit techniques, Chuan Xinluo might wake up before he could even get close to him. If it were an ordinary eternal cultivator, Ning Cheng's spear would have already pierced through the other party's glabella. Poof! Ning Cheng's long spear finally pierced through Chuan Xinluo's chest, causing blood to splash out. At the same time, Chuan Xinluo suddenly recovered. The burning sky eroding sun pagoda that was rushing towards Ning Cheng instantly weakened, and the white flames that rushed out also instantly dissipated. After the burning sky eroding sun pagoda weakened, it flew back rapidly and landed in a straight line. Boom! The burning sky eroding sun pagoda slammed into Ning Cheng's long spear, causing Ning Cheng's long spear to shake. Everything that was still in place suddenly came to life. Ka! Celestial essence splashed out, and Ning Cheng's long spear flew back. Ning Cheng opened his mouth and spat out another mouthful of blood. Blood overflowed from the corners of Chuan Xinluo's mouth, and his heart also started to bleed. However, he didn't care about it and still looked at Ning Cheng with a cold gaze. Sure enough, you have some capital to be arrogant. You even comprehended the real laws of time. But if that's the case, you can't do anything to me. Ning Cheng remained calm, but the shock in his heart was no less than Chuan Xinluo's. Chuan Xinluo was not only a body-forging expert with a starry sky body, but he also had an inner armor within his body. Otherwise, even if that spear attack was slow, it would have severely injured Chuan Xinluo. As long as Chuan Xinluo suffered severe injuries, he felt sure that Chuan Xinluo wouldn't be able to escape. He had arranged one ceiling array formation after another outside, half of which was to deal with Chuan Xinluo. Chuan Xinluo's murderous aura started to overflow, and his killing intent started to grow even stronger. Ning Qing gripped the semi-top grade Dao artifact long spear tightly, and his killing intent also started to rise. He felt sure that if Chuan Xinluo wasn't an idiot, he wouldn't attack him again after sensing his imposing aura. If Chuan Xinluo dared to attack him again, he would kill this fellow even if he had to use all his strength. In fact, if Chuan Xinluo gave up, Ning Qing wouldn't have continued. He only needed to look at the expressions of the eternal-level experts around him to know that he had achieved his goal. He guessed that Sunset's twilight couldn't kill Chuan Xinluo. In fact, Sunset's twilight indeed couldn't kill Chuan Xinluo. Not only did it not kill him, but it also didn't cause any fatal damage to Chuan Xinluo. Ning Cheng's purpose in attacking Chuan Xinluo was to deter him. These eternal-level experts came to his Jiangzhou star and didn't even put Ning Cheng in their eyes. They didn't even greet him. Although Ning Cheng felt angry, he couldn't do anything about it. To make these people fear his Jiangzhou star and even his mysterious yellow celestial river in the future, he had to show his true strength. Otherwise, even if he cooperated with striking order, he would still turn against him. Chuan Xinluo was the best touchstone. Today, he took out the laws of time to fight against Chuan Xinluo, which resulted in both sides suffering heavy injuries. Ning Qing believed that from now on, as long as Ning Qing was still alive, no one would dare to covet his Jiangzhou star. He wasn't even afraid of the 4 heavenly emperors, so why would he fear ordinary eternal-level experts? Without Jiangzhou star and mysterious yellow celestial river, Ning Qing would have chosen to kill Chuan Xinluo secretly. But not now. He had to let everyone know that he, Ning Qing, wasn't a pushover. As Chuan Xinluo's killing intent continued to rise, so did Ning Cheng's killing intent. Ning Cheng had already connected to the 5-colored star splitter arrow on his wrist. But if he wanted to kill Chuan Xinluo, or block Chuan Xinluo, he definitely couldn't do it with his current strength. To succeed, besides the 5-colored star splitter arrow, Ning Cheng had no other trump cards. Ning Cheng's killing intent and imposing manner gradually merged with the 5-colored star splitter arrow, growing stronger and stronger. Chuan Xinluo's eyes grew more and more dignified. Ning Cheng's laws of time-related spirit technique had almost killed him. Or rather, if he wasn't a body-forging cultivator, if he didn't have that armor, would Chuan Xinluo still be Chuan Xinluo? Initially, when he recovered from the shock and decided to kill Ning Cheng, he felt the threat of death emanating from Ning Cheng. He had never felt such a feeling before, but today, he felt it from Ning Cheng. Chuan Xinluo had a bad feeling in his heart. Whether he could kill Ning Cheng or not, he would also be in danger. For the first time, Chuan Xinluo regretted fighting with Ning Cheng. He had always been cautious and would never put himself in danger. Today, with Ning Cheng's imposing manner, even if he managed to kill Ning Cheng, he would still suffer severe injuries. If it were anywhere else, it wouldn't matter much, but not here. With several heavenly emperors keeping an eye on him, once he suffered severe injuries, he would die. Did he count on his followers Yang Yu and Gua Sangan to help him? That would only be a joke. Chuan Xinluo, who understood his situation, gave a cold snort and raised his hand. The next moment, the killing power between him and Ning Cheng suddenly separated. Celestial essence bursts filled with killing intent erupted, and the oppressive confrontation between them disappeared without a trace. Ning Cheng secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Sure enough, Chuan Xinluo didn't dare to gamble. If Chuan Xinluo really dared to gamble, he would have dared to bring out the 5-colored star splitter arrow. It's just that Chuan Xinluo had taken the initiative. Therefore, Chuan Xinluo could stop the fight, but Ning Cheng couldn't. Today, for the sake of coming to Jiangzhou Star to look for treasures, this emperor will let you go. Next time, you won't have such good luck. Chuan Xinlo saw Ning Cheng slowly withdrawing his killing intent and felt slightly relieved before speaking with a cold voice. He truly feared that Ning Cheng was an idiot who would ignore the surrounding threats and fight to the death with him in this place. Xiao Jierui, on seeing that Ning Cheng and Chuan Xinlo didn't fight to the death, felt a little disappointed. But after seeing Ning Cheng's strength, he didn't dare to ridicule him again. As for Chuan Xinlo's words, no one laughed at him. Everyone had seen the situation clearly. Although Ning Cheng didn't fear Chuan Xinlo still had the upper hand. Ning Cheng spoke up calmly, leveled heart Heavenly Emperor's words are really strange. First, I, Ning Cheng, never need anyone to let me go. Second, it seems that leveled heart Heavenly Emperor took the initiative to attack me, and now you say that you'll let me go. Hehe, does leveled heart Heavenly Emperor think that only the two of us are here? Do you think that I'm the only one who can hear what you said? After Ning Cheng's words came out, even Zhangkong Tianji's eyes showed a hint of seriousness. Since Ning Cheng dared to say such provocative words, it meant that he truly didn't fear Chuan Xinlo. Otherwise, if Chuan Xinlo let him go, he would have definitely stopped and wouldn't have said such words to start a fight. Chuan Xinlo felt a slight thump in his heart. He also thought that if he took the initiative to stop, Ning Cheng would know how powerful he was. He didn't stop because he feared Ning Cheng, but because he was worried about the people around him. But now that Ning Cheng still acted so domineering even after he stopped, the only possibility was that Ning Cheng didn't fear him at all. Ning Cheng also had a more powerful trump card. Thinking about Ning Cheng's increasingly tyrannical aura, Chuan Xinlo frowned and spoke up, since you want to court death, I'll accompany you. Although Chuan Xinlo could judge the situation, he would never let a junior like Ning Cheng suppress him. Ning Cheng showed a faint smile, leveled heart Heavenly Emperor is so powerful. Although I don't fear you, I also don't want to fight you to the death. Ning Cheng showed a faint smile, Heavenly Emperor leveled heart is quite powerful. Although I do not fear you, I do not want to end up in a mutually destructive situation with you. Although I'm not that popular, I always remember the people who act arrogantly in my territory. Although I don't have a lot of people, I always remember people who act arrogantly in my territory. One died just now, and another. Fu Yingkue had long since felt scared by Ning Cheng's powerful spirit technique. Coupled with the fact that Ning Cheng kicked him, he felt an inexplicable fear of Ning Cheng. Now that he saw Ning Cheng's gaze sweep over, how could he not know that Ning Cheng was talking about him? Seeing Chuan Xinlo frown and not helping him, Fu Yingkue's heart sank. With Ning Cheng's strength against Chuan Xinlo, Fu Yingkue would only end up dead if he went up. Without waiting for Ning Cheng to speak, he quickly cupped his fists and said, I've offended Brother Ning before. Even if Brother Ning didn't say anything, I still feel guilty. After all, I came to Brother Ning's ancient shadow temple and took advantage of Brother Ning. I decided to give my silver feather starry skies profound cloud celestial river to Brother Ning. I hope Brother Ning will not refuse. Ning Cheng put away his killing intent and said with a smile, I've long since forgotten about the things Heavenly Emperor Yingkue said. But many thanks for Heavenly Emperor Yingkue's generosity. You know that I've just arrived in the starry sky and don't have many places to live. Since Heavenly Emperor Yingkue is so enthusiastic, I won't be polite. Many thanks, Heavenly Emperor Yingkue. Chuan Xinlo looked calm, but he had already killed Fu Yingkue 1,000 times in his heart. If someone else had forced Fu Yingkue to give up his territory, he could have taken it back. But this Ning Cheng was too strong. As long as he didn't kill Ning Cheng, he could forget about taking advantage of Ning Cheng. Chapter 740. Striking Order. Heavenly Emperor, on seeing Ning Cheng's strength, felt both excited and worried. Although it was good for Ning Cheng to be strong, Ning Cheng was too strong. If one day, he took a fancy to his striking order Starry Sky, would he end up like Fu Yingkue and give striking order Starry Sky to Ning Cheng? However, Striking Order Heavenly Emperor quickly put these thoughts aside. Whether Ning Cheng took a fancy to his Striking Order Starry Sky or not, he had to cooperate with Ning Cheng. If he didn't cooperate, Chuan Xinluo would definitely take Striking Order Starry Sky. Previously, he worried that Chuan Xinluo would kill Ning Cheng in seconds, but now he found that his worries were unnecessary. Ning Cheng's strength had far exceeded his imagination. Moreover, Ning Cheng seemed to have a personality of not attacking people if they didn't offend him. Initially, he wanted to give named Descendant Celestial River to Ning Cheng, but Ning Cheng didn't want it. It was only after he persuaded Ning Cheng to accept it. In other words, if not for named Descendant Celestial River's Ji clan taking the initiative to provoke Ning Cheng wouldn't even want Stately River Star. With such a proud person, as long as he didn't do anything secretly, how could the other party snatch his Striking Order Starry Sky? With the confrontation between Ning Cheng and Chuan Xinluo coming to an end, Xiao Jirui and the others began to bombard the restrictions in the corners and prepared to take away the golden chests. Ning Cheng naturally didn't show any weakness and also began to bombard the restrictions in the corners. Although Chuan Xinluo felt unhappy, he didn't continue to stop Ning Cheng. He knew that if he tried to stop Ning Cheng, the two would definitely end up fighting. Ning Cheng didn't even put him, a heavenly emperor, in his eyes. Of the 5 chests, except for Zhongkong Tianji and Ning Cheng, who dealt with the restrictions alone, the others all had 2 or more restrictions. Zhongkong Tianji had extraordinary strength, and every time he attacked, a crack would appear on the defensive restrictions. Moreover, no one here could match Ning Cheng's understanding of the Tao of arrays. Therefore, every time he attacked, he would hit the key points of the restrictions. When the others opened the restrictions, Ning Cheng also took the chests. Zhongkong Tianji didn't put away the chests but put them in front of him and said, "Let's all open the chests." Maybe the real treasures in the ancient Shadow Temple have something to do with these chests. What do you think? The real treasures of the ancient Shadow Temple were naturally not these chests. It's just that apart from these chests, there was no other way out of the main hall. Xiao Jirui and Yi Jiufeng hesitated for a moment before speaking up at the same time, "No problem." Wu Hong, Striking Order, and the others teamed up to obtain a box. Although they didn't know how to distribute it, it naturally wouldn't be a problem. When Ning Cheng saw that everyone was looking at him, he also spoke up, "I naturally have no problem with it." Even if there was a problem, he had to agree. Offending Chuan Xinluo and establishing his prestige for others to see was not a bad thing. However, if he dared to offend everyone here, it wouldn't be establishing his prestige anymore. It would be courting death. Zhongkong Tianji was the first to open the box. Inside the box, there was only a palm-sized piece of dark gray wood. Reincarnation Soul Wood. When Zhongkong Tianji took out the wooden piece, Yi Jiufeng, Chuan Xinluo, and the others screamed out almost at the same time. Ning Cheng also looked at the piece of wood in Zhongkong Tianji's hand in shock. He naturally knew about the Reincarnation Soul Wood. The Reincarnation Soul Wood was a heaven-defying treasure. It was a priceless treasure. In terms of value, it wasn't inferior to the best treasures in the slightest. The only use of the Reincarnation Soul Wood was to reincarnate at the moment of death. Moreover, after reincarnation, one would retain a trace of their past life's memories. As one's cultivation continued to improve, one's memories would gradually recover. One could say that this was a treasure that any cultivator dreamed of obtaining. Although Zhongkong Tianji felt happy that he obtained the Reincarnation Soul Wood, he didn't feel ecstatic. For him, he would never reincarnate. Therefore, no matter how important this soul wood was, it wasn't practical. When Ning Cheng saw Zhongkong Tianji's expression, he secretly made up his mind to wait for an opportunity to exchange the soul wood in Zhongkong Tianji's hands. Seeing Zhongkong Tianji obtain the Reincarnation Soul Wood, Xiao Jirui couldn't wait to open the box in front of him. Inside the box, there was only a dark-colored high-necked jade bottle. Xiao Jirui raised his hand and tried to grab the jade bottle. However, he felt an extremely heavy force that prevented him from grabbing it. Xiao Jiarui gave a snort, and with a surge of celestial essence, he grabbed the jade bottle again. Holding the jade bottle in his hand, he unplugged the jade bottle. Although Xiao Jiarui couldn't call it out, Yi Jiufeng helped him call it out. Single essence heavy water. Chuan Xinluo clenched his fists. Everything in this place was so heaven-defying. Not to mention the reincarnation soul wood, even this single essence heavy water was a priceless treasure. A drop of single essence heavy water was equivalent to the weight of a small planet. Just a drop of it could be refined into a top-grade weapon. However, he didn't even get a single golden box. Ning Cheng also felt a little fiery in his heart. This place truly had a lot of treasures. If he had the single essence heavy water, he could even add a drop to his good fortune spirit spear. At that time, the power of the good fortune spirit spear would definitely increase by a lot. Yi Jiufeng looked a little excited as she opened the golden box in front of her. It contained only a very ordinary-looking talisman. Yi Jiufeng grabbed the talisman with some disappointment. Why did the things in her box look so bad? Xiao Jiarui secretly felt proud of himself. Yi Jiufeng was an expert in collecting weapons and loved all kinds of weapons. But now, the thing she obtained was just an ordinary talisman, which was really ironic. Ning Cheng clenched his fists. In his opinion, the thing in Yi Jiufeng's box was the most useful. It was a child talisman of the opening heaven talisman. How precious was the opening heaven talisman? One could even say that it was a treasure that could split the heavens and split the earth. Moreover, there was a child talisman of the opening heaven talisman in this box. From this, one could tell that the ancient shadow temple was not simple. Yi Jiufeng and the others might not know about the child talisman of the opening heaven talisman, but he did. He had even used this thing before. After using it, there was a child talisman of the opening heaven talisman that had lost its Dao charm. Oh, why is my luck so bad? Why did I end up with such a broken talisman? Yi Jiufeng grabbed the child talisman of the opening heaven talisman and sighed. Chuan Xinluo suddenly showed a smile and said, "If junior apprentice sister 9 Phoenix doesn't like this talisman, you might as well trade it with me. I really like these weird talismans." Yi Jiufeng's eyes turned. Does senior apprentice brother Leveled Heart really want this talisman? If senior apprentice brother Leveled Heart can give me the soil that contains the breath soil, then this talisman. Not waiting for Yi Jiufeng to finish, Ning Cheng also smiled and said, "Senior apprentice sister 9 Phoenix, I'm also very interested in this talisman. Of course, I would also like to exchange it with senior apprentice sister 9 Phoenix. But I don't know what senior apprentice sister 9 Phoenix likes." Being able to control a grand starry sky, Yi Jiufeng naturally was not an idiot. When Chuan Xinluo proposed an exchange, she had already guessed that this talisman was not ordinary. The reason why she proposed the soil that contained the breath soil was to see if Chuan Xinluo would agree to it or not. If Chuan Xinluo agreed, then it meant that the value of this talisman might be even higher than she guessed. Regardless of whether Chuan Xinluo agreed or not, she, Yi Jiufeng, would never exchange it before she figured out the origin of this talisman. Now that Ning Cheng also proposed an exchange, she became even more convinced that her talisman was not ordinary. Others might think that Ning Cheng and Chuan Xinluo didn't get along with each other, so he deliberately went against Chuan Xinluo. However, Yi Jiufeng didn't think so. "Oh, I like powerful little brothers like you the most. Why don't you accompany this elder sister for a few days, and this elder sister will give you this talisman, what's the harm?" Yi Jiufeng said while putting away the talisman in her hand. Standing next to Yi Jiufeng, the tall and handsome male cultivator named Shi Jinyu had an ugly expression on his face. Apparently, Yi Jiufeng's flirting with Ning Cheng made him feel very dissatisfied. However, whether it was Yi Jiufeng or Ning Cheng, he couldn't afford to offend them. Seeing Yi Jiufeng put away the talisman, Chuan Xinluo only glanced at Ning Cheng before looking at Striking Order and the others. Striking Order Heavenly Emperor took in a deep breath and cupped his fists towards Heavenly Emperor Shenmao of Snapping Ascension Starry Sky. Brother Shenmao, you can open this box. Shenmao showed a smile. In that case, I won't be polite. After saying that, he raised his hand and opened the golden box in front of him. A dazzling red light shot out, revealing a red jade box inside the golden box. The jade box gave off a red glow, indicating that it was not an ordinary item. Shenmao picked up the jade box and opened it again. A red fruit the size of a baby's fist lay inside the jade box. A faint fragrance overflowed from it, and the cultivators who smelled this fragrance immediately felt refreshed. It felt as if their cultivation had improved imperceptibly, giving them a refreshing feeling. On the surface of the red fruit, one could vaguely see one Dao pattern after another, giving it a mysterious appearance. Is this the legendary Dao fruit? Although Yi Jiufeng didn't recognize the opening Heaven Child talisman in her hand, she had a lot of knowledge about other things. Xiao Jirue took in a deep breath and spoke up slowly, yes, this is definitely a Dao fruit. I heard that Daoist Crow obtained a Dao fruit and successfully confirmed his Dao, allowing him to leave this positional plane. If he could, he would rather use his single essence heavy water to exchange for this Dao fruit. For people at their level of cultivation, a Dao fruit that could help them perceive Dao marks had an inestimable value. Who should take care of this fruit? Sun Jihe spoke up from the side. Although she felt excited, she also knew that this Dao fruit would never become her personal possession. I think it's better to hand this Dao fruit over to Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor for safekeeping. After this matter is over, we can talk about the distribution. Gua Sangan also had a small piece of this Dao fruit, so it was not unexpected for him to put forward such a proposal. However, everyone knew that Gua Sangan was Chuan Xinluo's follower. Therefore, it would be strange if this Dao fruit came out of Chuan Xinluo's hands. Striking Order Heavenly Emperor looked at Ning Cheng, and the rest of the people also looked at Ning Cheng. Apparently, they wanted Ning Cheng to raise an objection so that Chuan Xinluo couldn't keep this Dao fruit. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. He didn't want to stand out like a bird. He also didn't want Chuan Xinluo to obtain this Dao fruit. In case Chuan Xinluo obtained this Dao fruit, his strength would definitely double. But if he raised an objection at this time, Chuan Xinluo would never tolerate it. It would be a life-and-death battle. Chuan Xinluo could tolerate it, but he would never tolerate Ning Cheng blocking his path to Dao confirming. Or rather, Chuan Xinluo didn't know that this golden chest contained such a treasure. If he knew about it, even if he had some scruples, he would have forcibly continued to snatch it from Ning Cheng. He wasn't Chuan Xinluo's opponent. Therefore, standing up at this time would only mean helping others as a spear. Chapter 741. Only 4 people had the qualifications to stop Chuan Xinluo: Zhangkong Tianji, Xiao Jirue, Yi Jiufeng and Ning Cheng. The first 3 all obtained the golden chests and had not openly fallen out with Chuan Xinluo. Therefore, it was impossible for them to come out and stop Chuan Xinluo. Ning Cheng also obtained the golden chest, which meant that he was the only cultivator who had fallen out with Chuan Xinluo. If anyone wanted to stop him, then only Ning Cheng could stand up and stop him. But since Ning Cheng didn't stand up, Chuan Xinluo obtained the Dao fruit without any accident. After Chuan Xinluo put away the Dao fruit, he felt relieved in his heart. What worried him the most was that Ning Cheng would stand up and stop him. Just like Ning Cheng feared him, he also feared Ning Cheng. Now that Ning Cheng didn't stand up to stop him, he naturally felt relieved in his heart. Of the 5 golden chests, 4 had already been opened, causing everyone to stare at Ning Cheng's golden chest. Ning Cheng knew that he couldn't open the golden chest alone. Therefore, he had to open it in this place. The first 4 chests all contained top-quality treasures, which made Ning Cheng look forward to seeing what was inside his chest. The chest opened, revealing a 3-inch tall black gourd inside. The gourd looked ordinary, and ordinary spiritual consciousness could easily sweep into it. It didn't have any Dao charm, nor any aura, just an ordinary gourd. What is this? This time, even Yi Jiufeng couldn't recognize the gourd in Ning Cheng's hand. Ning Cheng reached out and grabbed the gourd. The gourd felt a bit cold, but his spiritual consciousness swept over the gourd a few times and didn't find any abnormalities. Turning the gourd upside down, he saw 2 words at the bottom of the gourd, boundless. I think this gourd is good. If Sect Master Ning doesn't want it, you can give it to me. Yi Jiufeng saw Ning Cheng's disappointment and immediately spoke up with a smile. Ning Cheng unhurriedly put away the gourd and spoke, Senior Apprentice Sister Nine Phoenix, if you want this gourd then you can give me that talisman, and then give me a branch of the Wind Thunder Apricot tree, I will exchange it with you. Yi Jiufeng giggled, but before she could speak, everyone heard a creaking sound coming from the middle of the hall. Everyone in the hall quickly moved to the side, and soon, the originally plain pentagonal hall slowly opened up to the sides, revealing a dark public square under everyone's feet. Everyone stood at the 5 corners of the main hall and looked down. It was as if they were standing on a skyscraper and looking down at the ground below. Under the dim light of the surroundings, the pitch-black square appeared gloomy and deep. The cold and gloomy aura constantly rushed up, giving people a very uncomfortable feeling. From this pentagonal hall to the plaza below, there were no stairs, nor was there any place to borrow strength. Other than flying down, there was no other way. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out at the bottom of the well in this pitch-black public square and realized that the spiritual consciousness in this place was sealed. Even with his starry sky sea of consciousness, his spiritual consciousness felt severely restricted. However, this was not a problem for him, whether he used the twin wings of the heavenly clouds or directly jumped down, he would not suffer even half a point of injury. I'll go down and have a look. After Zhangkong Tianji said that, he jumped down without hesitation. Zhangkong Tianji landed in the middle of the square below the grand hall, producing a loud rumble. Although he did not use any flying spells, Zhangkong Tianji jumped down from dozens of floors, but he was not hurt at all. After Zhangkong Tianji jumped down, the rest of the people also followed suit. In fact, even if they could not use their celestial essence or spiritual consciousness, it would not cause any harm to these eternal-level experts. However, Ning Cheng knew that it was not a matter of the height of the building, but that this place was similar to the dry well he had encountered in the Time Wilderness. After jumping down, he found himself in a pit. Not only did it exceed the height of the building, but it also had a strong suction force. Kacha, kacha. As everyone jumped down, 5 or 6 people's leg bones broke one after another. Tang Yitang, Yang Yu, Shi Yu, and a few others had slightly weaker cultivation, so their leg bones all broke. However, for eternal-level cultivators, breaking leg bones did not affect them at all. In just a few breaths, they would fully recover. Ning Cheng was a body-forging expert with a starry sky body. Therefore, he did not even use the twin wings of the heavenly clouds to land on the public square. Xiao Jirue looked at Ning Cheng and smiled, no wonder Sect Master Ning could make brother-leveled hearts stop. This body-forging strength might even surpass brother-leveled hearts. Chuan Xinlo remained expressionless, as if he had not heard it at all. Ning Cheng spoke up in a calm voice, I don't know if I'm stronger than leveled heart Heavenly Emperor, but I'm sure that I'm stronger than you. Xiao Jirue gave a cold snort and no longer tried to incite discord. The rest of the people did not pay any attention to Xiao Jirue's provocation. Everyone's attention was focused on the top of the public square. Above this dark public square, there was a paper door. Gusts of nether wind blew over the paper door, causing it to make a crashing sound. Moreover, the paper door did not show any signs of breaking apart from the crashing sounds caused by the nether wind. Moreover, there were 4 words above the paper door, Hell's Gate. Before everyone could figure out what was going on, a violent nether wind suddenly blew over the dark public square. At this moment, even Ning Cheng's subtle spiritual consciousness could not stretch out due to the violent nether wind. The violent nether wind quickly swept towards the position where everyone stood. Under this wind, no one had any way to escape except for bringing out their weapons. Ning Cheng immediately brought out his everlasting blue thunder city, followed by Chuan Xinlo and the others bringing out their weapons. As for those with lower cultivation, because of the severe suppression on their spiritual consciousness, they couldn't even bring out their weapons in a hurry. A few screams erupted, and Ning Cheng saw 4 or 5 people being swept away by the nether wind. Even if they were in the eternal realm, they couldn't stop this terrifying nether wind. As for where these 4 or 5 people ended up, no one knew. The violent nether winds around the public square finally converged together. The 2 eternal cultivators, who had not been swept away by the nether winds, turned into a pile of bones in an instant. The nether winds came and went quickly. In just a dozen breaths, the nether winds that swept over the dark public square disappeared. However, half of the people on the public square had disappeared. Tang Yitang, who came with striking order, Yang Yu, who came with Chuan Xinlo, Shi Jinyu, the handsome man behind Yi Jiufeng, Jinming Qianhua, Fu Yingkue, Shi Haoyan, Heavenly Emperor Wu Hong and a few others had all disappeared. Only the 4 starry sky emperors, Ning Cheng, Striking Order, Shen Mao, Mu Hao, Sun Jihe and Gua Sangan remained on the public square. Some bones were piled up in the middle of the public square, but no one knew who left them behind. Apart from Ning Cheng, who was in the life and death realm, Striking Order and Gua Sangan had the lowest cultivation, middle stage eternal realm. Although the 2 of them had escaped the disaster, their faces had turned ashen, and they looked embarrassed. Even Starry Sky Emperor Sun Jihe, a late-stage eternal cultivator from Water Immortal Starry Sky, had an ugly expression on her face, and her hair and clothes looked disheveled. "It looks like we should get out of here first. This place is too scary," Zhongkong Tianji said with a sigh. "How do we get out? There is no way out of this place." Yi Jiufeng's tone didn't sound good. She regretted jumping in. Now that they were in this dark public square and their spiritual consciousness was restricted, it would be impossible to fly up again. After obtaining that treasure from the Pentagonal Hall and appearing in the plaza, no one was willing to be left behind. Otherwise, with everyone's cautiousness, how could they all jump down? Yi Jiufeng's voice had just fallen when a burst of whimpering sounds rang out around the public square. Everyone knew that the horrifying nether wind would sweep over once again. Striking Order Heavenly Emperor came to Ning Cheng's side with some fear. "Brother Ning, I'm afraid I can't escape this second wave of nether wind." Ning Cheng understood Striking Order's meaning and nodded. "Brother Striking Order, you don't have to worry. My Thunder City still has some use. Brother Striking Order can stay behind me." Gua Sangan quickly arrived behind Chuan Xinlo on seeing this. This was not the time to care about face. If they got caught in this nether wind, they would definitely die. If they got swept up by this nether wind, they would either end up in a pile of bones or end up as skeletons. Sun Jihe looked at Ning Cheng's side with envy. In this place, the best weapon to block the nether wind was naturally Ning Cheng's everlasting blue thunder fort. Next was Chuan Xinlo's burning sky eroding sun pagoda. However, she didn't have any friendship with Ning Cheng, so she could only rely on her own strength to resist it. The whimpering nether wind blew over again, and this time, it even took on a substantial form. This was the first time Ning Cheng had seen a substantial wind, and it was a nether wind at that. Whimpering sounds erupted. Even if Ning Cheng brought out the everlasting blue thunder fort, which had a suppressive effect on the nether wind, he still felt uncomfortable all over. It felt as if his mind was about to leave his body, and this kind of feeling kept surging up in his mind. Ning Cheng secretly felt horrified in his heart. No wonder even those eternal-level experts got swept away by the nether wind. It wasn't just that one couldn't block this terrifying nether wind, but once one got swept up by this nether wind, one's essence spirit would immediately dissipate. With one's essence spirit dissipating, coupled with the suppression of one's spiritual consciousness and cultivation, it would be a wonder if anything good could happen in the end. Blue lightning flashed within the everlasting blue thunder fort. After the everlasting blue thunder fort blocked the nether wind, the lightning arcs once again bombarded it and quickly swept it away from Ning Cheng's side. Ning Cheng had just breathed in a sigh of relief when he heard Gua Sangon scream, piercing heart. Gua Sangon only managed to call out 2 words before his voice abruptly stopped. Apparently, the nether wind had swept him away. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was the most powerful in this place. Therefore, he could clearly see Chuan Xinlo pushing Gua Sangon. After a dozen breaths, the nether wind finally calmed down, and another person disappeared. Gua Sangon had disappeared, and Ning Cheng saw him being swept away by the nether wind with his own eyes. Ning Cheng's face remained calm. He knew that when Gua Sangon was swept away by the nether wind, not only did Chuan Xinlo not save him, but Chuan Xinlo also plotted against him from behind. Gua Sangon was Chuan Xinlo's little brother. Even if Chuan Xinlo obtained the Dao fruit, it was only because of Gua Sangon's suggestion that he had the chance. It stood to reason that Chuan Xinlo had to save Gua Sangon. But in fact, not only did Chuan Xinlo not save Gua Sangon, but he also pushed Gua Sangon. Chapter 742. Ning Cheng's thoughts raced a little before he understood the mystery behind it. Chuan Xinlo truly had a thick heart. He had even used Gua Sangon to deal with him before. It's just that Chuan Xinlo didn't expect that he wasn't an ant that he could easily crush. Gua Sangon didn't have the ability to deal with Ning Cheng at all. Now that Chuan Xinlo obtained the Dao fruit, as long as he went back into seclusion, he would most likely take another step forward. At this time, Chuan Xinlo hoped that nothing unexpected would happen. For Chuan Xinlo, Ning Cheng was just an accident. Once everyone got out of here, he would most likely find trouble with Gua Sangon. Since Gua Sangon wasn't his opponent, he could only seek shelter from Chuan Xinlo. Chuan Xinlo, as Gua Sangon's elder brother, naturally couldn't sit back and watch Ning Cheng destroy Gua Sangon. It's just that Chuan Xinlo didn't have the confidence to kill him. How could Chuan Xinlo get injured at this critical moment when he obtained the Dao fruit and was about to reach Dao confirming realm? Not only could he not get injured, but he also didn't want to offend Ning Cheng. Since Chuan Xinlo didn't want to offend him, he could only let Gua Sangon disappear. Chuan Xinlo didn't expect Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness to be so powerful that he could see his small movements amidst the nether winds. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. Compared to these heavenly emperors, he was as kind as a blank piece of paper. If this goes on, none of us will survive. Yi Jiufeng's face turned gloomy. The nether winds grew stronger and stronger, and she wasn't wrong in her words. Sun Jihe subconsciously moved closer to Ning Cheng. Her clothes had already been torn apart by the nether winds, and her face had turned ugly. If it came a third time, maybe only Ning Cheng's everlasting blue thunder fort could stop it. She approached Ning Cheng intending to seek shelter from Ning Cheng, just like striking order. However, she was a starry sky heavenly emperor and had nothing to do with Ning Cheng. This time, without Ning Cheng's consent, she was too embarrassed to ask for help. Zhangkong Tianji and Xiao Jierue didn't speak, apparently agreeing with Yi Jiufeng's words. But even if they agreed, if they couldn't come up with a good solution, they couldn't do anything about it. Sect Master Ning, the ancient Shadow Temple is your stately river star's territory. Do you have a good idea? Yi Jiufeng saw that no one could come up with a solution, so she looked at Cheng and asked. Ning Cheng looked at the paper door in the distance, but before he could speak, another burst of sobbing sounds could be heard. It was obvious that the third wave of Yin wind would blow over soon. Everyone's face turned ugly, and Sun Jihe, who had a weaker cultivation base, turned pale. She had just entered the late-stage eternal realm, and it wasn't easy for her to persist until now. Otherwise, with her identity as a heavenly emperor, how could she seek shelter from Ning Cheng? There is no way out of this place. Even if we find a way out at the edge of the square, it will be too late. My idea is to enter the gates of hell first. As soon as Ning Cheng's words came out, all the people were shocked. Enter the gates of hell. When the chilly wind came, it seemed that there was also a hell's gate in this paper door. Wouldn't it be courting death if you were to enter a place where evil winds wreaked havoc? After Ning Cheng made this decision, he did not wait for the others to answer, and immediately rushed towards the hell's gate. It had nothing to do with him whether others came in or not. He would go in first. Seeing Ning Cheng rush into the hell's gate, Striking Order only hesitated for a moment before rushing in after Ning Cheng. Since Ning Cheng had already left, staying here would only lead to death. Therefore, he might as well follow behind Ning Cheng. Sun Jihe, Mu Hao and the others also rushed in. As the whimpers of the chilly wind grew louder and louder, Chuan Xinlo and the others had no choice but to rush into the Hell's Gate. As Ning Cheng said, apart from the Hell's Gate, there was really no other place to go. After everyone entered the paper door closed with a squeak. Apart from the rustling sound of the paper on the paper door from the outside, everyone's divine sense could no longer sense anything in the square outside. An incomparably huge pool appeared in front of everyone. The water in this pool was like ink, black and shiny. Ning Cheng's suppressed spiritual consciousness could not see through the bottom of the pool. At the edge of the pool, there was a stone tablet with 3 black characters carved on it, Yellow Spring Pool. There were 2 doors on the opposite side of the Yellow Spring Pool, one of which had a red life character written on it. It looked bloody and horrifying, while the other door had a black death character written on it. Whether it was the life character or the death character, it made people feel uncomfortable looking at it. Apart from the 2 doors and the pool, there was nothing else here. There are only 2 doors of life and death here. Whether we go in or not, we have no way out. Zhangkong Tianji spoke with a deep voice. No one answered Zhangkong Tianji's words. No matter which door they entered, it would not be a simple matter. The rattling sound of the paper door outside became even clearer. It felt as if the paper door would break open in the next moment, allowing the chilly wind to sweep in. Zhangkong Tianji gave a snort. In that case, I'll be leaving first. With that, Zhangkong Tianji rushed into the death gate. As soon as Zhangkong Tianji entered, a wave of yin qi swept over, and Zhangkong Tianji's aura completely disappeared. No one spoke, and no one felt that Zhangkong Tianji chose the death gate. I'm leaving too. Yi Jiufeng finished and rushed in. In this narrow place, it felt too depressing. If it were just depressing, it would have been fine. But as soon as everyone came in, they felt the aura of death. One could say that the longer they stayed in this place, the heavier the oppressive aura of death became. Even if everyone here was an eternal cultivator, they couldn't resist the 6th sense of death. One couldn't say that Zhangkong Tianji chose the wrong door. Although he entered the death gate, who could say for sure which of the 2 doors of life and death would lead to survival? Moreover, the cold aura from the life gate and the bloody life character made people feel uncomfortable. However, not everyone had the same thoughts as Zhangkong Tianji. Yi Jiufeng chose the life gate. Similarly, after she entered, she disappeared without a trace, without any aura. Chuan Xinlo glanced at Ning Cheng coldly and rushed into the death gate without hesitation. Apparently, he and Zhangkong Tianji shared the same view. The death gate was much safer. With 3 of the 4 heavenly emperors leaving, the rest rushed in one after another. Xiao Jirui also entered the death gate, while Striking Order, Shen Mao and Mu Hao rushed into the life gate. In just a few breaths, only Ning Cheng and Sun Jihe remained in the room. The sound of the nether wind hitting the paper door grew louder and louder. Every time it slammed into the paper door, it made people feel a little flustered. Sun Jihe looked at Ning Cheng and asked carefully, Sect Master Ning, I really didn't come here to help Sangon. I came here purely for the ancient Shadow Temple. If I had known that I wouldn't get anything in here and might even die, I definitely wouldn't have come here. Ning Qing showed a slight smile. Senior apprentice Sister Sun worries too much. I never thought that senior apprentice Sister Sun would come here to help Sangon or anyone else. Many thanks for Sect Master Ning's magnanimity. If this Sun Jiha doesn't die this time, I will definitely make a special trip to the mysterious Yellow Sect to thank. Sun Jiha hadn't finished her words when the violent nether wind hit them again. Ning Qing felt moved and brought out the everlasting blue thunder fort to help Sun Jiha block it. As the nether wind passed, Sun Jiha spoke up gratefully, "Many thanks for Sect Master Ning's help. Why don't Sect Master Ning leave this place together?" Ning Qing shook his head. "Senior apprentice Sister Sun can go first. I'll take a while to prepare." After that, Ning Qing added, "I think the death gate is safer." "Of course, it's just my intuition." Ning Qing knew that Sun Jiha wanted to ask him which gate to enter, but Sun Jiha wasn't sure. When Sun Jiha heard Ning Qing's words, she quickly thanked him. "Many thanks, Sect Master Ning. I'll take my leave first." With that, Sun Jiha's figure flashed and disappeared into the death gate. She really listened to Ning Qing's words and entered the death gate. After everyone left, Ning Qing didn't enter any of the gates. Instead, he stared at the pitch-black pool in front of him. If it weren't for the familiar aura he felt from the pool, he would have entered one of the gates by now. This was because he had sensed a familiar aura from the pool when he had arrived. Moreover, he now remembered what this aura was. It was Grey Tutut's aura. Grey Tutut had followed him for many years, and he later placed Grey Tutut with Rulan. Grey Tutut had helped Rulan find cultivation resources, but it ended up running away. Because Grey Tutut had disappeared around covered Snow City, Ning Qing had searched for a few days but couldn't find any clues. What he didn't expect was that he would feel Grey Tutut's aura in this pitch-black yellow spring pool. With Grey Tutut's strength, it was impossible for him to come here by himself. Now that Grey Tutut appeared here, it meant that someone else must have brought him here. Since someone could bring Grey Tutut here, it meant that the ancient Shadow Temple wasn't as simple as it looked on the surface. If Grey Tutut hadn't followed him for a long time and helped Rulan find cultivation resources, Ning Qing wouldn't have stayed here. This place gave him a very dangerous aura. Even if it was dangerous, he couldn't leave Grey Tutut behind after knowing that Grey Tutut was here. Ning Qing directly brought out the everlasting blue thunder fort and jumped into the yellow spring pool. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness was much stronger than other eternal cultivators, but he still couldn't penetrate the bottom of the yellow spring pool with his spiritual consciousness. To find Grey Tutut, he had no other way but to enter the yellow spring pool himself. As soon as Ning Qing entered the yellow spring pool, the cold aura that could suck away one's essence spirit quickly attacked him. The everlasting blue thunder fort was Ning Qing's premier weapon. Therefore, even without an artifact spirit, Ning Qing could still use the everlasting blue thunder fort to split open the pitch-black pool water around him. The yellow spring pool didn't look deep. But after Ning Qing came in, he felt that the pool was like a bottomless pit with no end. Ning Qing held the Nirvana spear tightly and slowly sank to the bottom of the pool. The closer he got to the bottom of the pool, the colder he felt. It wasn't just the natural cold, but a kind of cold that permeated one's essence, spirit and soul. Chapter 743. Ning Qing didn't know how long it took, he only knew that his everlasting blue thunder fort was constantly shrinking. When the everlasting blue thunder fort shrunk to less than a foot in radius, his feet finally touched the ground. The flagstones under his feet were all dark red, as if they were stained with blood. Bursts of whimpering screams rang out around him, but Ning Qing couldn't catch where these sounds came from. Ning Qing ignored the sounds around him and continued to follow Grey Tutut's aura. Although the everlasting blue thunder fort blocked the black water around the yellow spring pond, Ning Qing still left a deep footprint on the dark red flagstones with every step he took. The whimpering nether winds surrounded the Blue Thunder Fort, but every time it got close to the Blue Thunder Fort, it would be blasted away by some lightning. Ning Qing secretly rejoiced that he had the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort. If not for the Blue Thunder Fort, he would have already been swept away by this cold aura. Even with the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, Ning Qing knew that he couldn't stay here for long. Once his everlasting Blue Thunder Fort was compressed to the extreme, he would have to rely on his own body to resist the Yin Qi in this place. After half an incense stick worth of time, Ning Qing stopped. He saw a blood river under the yellow spring pond. This blood river and the black water of the yellow spring pond were clearly separated and had nothing to do with each other. They simply couldn't merge together. Above this blood river, there was a pale white stone arch bridge that spanned across the blood river. Ning Qing stood at the bridge's head and vaguely saw a burst of nether winds rolling on the other side of the bridge. The mournful whimpering aura continued to howl endlessly. But this was just a vague scene, and he couldn't really see the specific situation on the other side. The bridge was shrouded in a cold aura, which made people feel intimidated. 5 words were engraved on the stone tablet at the bridge's head: First Bridge of Coping. Ning Qing carefully stepped onto the pale white stone arch bridge. Every step he took felt like stepping on a hollow place. But even after his feet touched the ground, he was still on the bridge. This made Ning Qing even more careful. He had only taken a few steps when he saw a vague figure. Gua Sangan. Ning Qing recognized this figure at a glance. It was Gua Sangan. He had seen Gua Sangan being pushed into the nether winds by Chuan Xinlo, so how could he appear here? Ning Qing quickly felt that something was wrong. Gua Sangan's face was expressionless, as if he did not have any thoughts at all. He only floated on the bridge of helplessness for a while before he slowly drifted to the other side of the bridge of helplessness and disappeared without a trace. Ning Qing, who was holding the Nirvana spear in his hand, felt sluggish. What was going on? Was there really an underworld? The other side of the bridge of helplessness was the underworld. Dead people would go to the underworld. Didn't this mean that as long as he crossed the bridge of helplessness, he would be able to find the souls of his acquaintances? Thinking of this, Ning Qing felt a little excited. Since he had cultivated to the life and death realm, he would never be scared off by something like this. Not to mention that there was not only Grey Tutut's aura on the other side of the futility bridge, but also the souls of other acquaintances. Ning Qing took a deep breath, calming his mood down, and once again took a few steps forward. When Ning Qing walked to a distance of almost 10 feet, a powerful nether wind swept over. This kind of nether wind was not only powerful but also very violent. The nether winds above Ning Qing's head formed a substantial nether wind vortex, which directly covered Ning Qing. This nether wind vortex was even more powerful than the one on the public square. If not for Ning Qing, but an ordinary eternal cultivator, they would have already been swept away by this powerful nether wind. Ning Qing crazily stimulated his everlasting Blue Thunder Fort to block the wave after wave of nether wind vortexes sweeping over. If not for the Blue Thunder Fort, Ning Qing estimated that he would not have lasted this long. However, even if he had the Blue Thunder Fort, it was not a solution right now. Being swept up by the horrifying nether wind on the bridge of helplessness, he could neither advance nor retreat. If he stayed here for too long, he would eventually be swept away by this nether wind. It was just a matter of time, unless he entered the mysterious yellow bead. Seeing Gua Sangan's dead and unconscious life essence, Ning Qing naturally did not want to be swept away by the nether wind. Although the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort continued to compress, Ning Qing still continued to drive his spiritual consciousness to support the Blue Thunder Fort. Ka. A slight sound emerged, and Ning Qing felt a sharp pain in his sea of consciousness. He immediately felt shocked and cried out in his heart. Most likely, he had forcibly driven his spiritual consciousness, causing his sea of consciousness to crack. If his sea of consciousness ended up destroyed, then he would truly be finished. However, Ning Qing soon felt pleasantly surprised. His sea of consciousness did not crack, but after reaching its limit, it once again expanded outwards. Although his spiritual consciousness was severely compressed in this place, after his sea of consciousness expanded outwards, his spiritual consciousness still grew several times more powerful. After his sea of consciousness expanded outwards, everything around him became clear. The everlasting blue thunder fort did not require him to go all out, and once again expanded to a range of nearly 10 feet. After the nether wind swept over, the everlasting blue thunder fort directly blew it away. Ning Cheng felt slightly relieved. The increase in the strength of his sea of consciousness, for him, meant that his strength had doubled. Previously, when he used Sunset's Twilight to deal with Chuan Xinluo, he could not injure Chuan Xinluo even more. One of the main reasons was that his spiritual consciousness was not as strong as Chuan Xinluo's. Now that his sea of consciousness expanded, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out unscrupulously. The opposite side of the Bridge of Helplessness still could not be seen clearly. However, Ning Cheng could now clearly see the range of a few dozen feet in front of the Bridge of Helplessness. When Ning Cheng saw a black stoneman in the middle of the Bridge of Helplessness holding Grey Toot Toot in one hand, and Grey Toot Toot's 4 feet seemed to be struggling, he immediately became furious. He rushed up without hesitation and shot out with his Nirvana spear. Boom! Ning Cheng's Nirvana spear had not yet reached the stoneman when a black nether wind condensed and struck Ning Cheng's Nirvana spear. A powerful backlash erupted, and Ning Cheng, who was standing on the Bridge of Helplessness, was blasted away. The everlasting blue thunder fort, which had expanded to more than 10 feet, also shrank to a radius of 10 feet because of this backlash. Seeing that he was about to fall into the blood river, Ning Cheng quickly stimulated his twin wings of heavenly fate and forcibly landed on the edge of the Bridge of Helplessness. At this moment, Ning Cheng felt secretly horrified. If not for the advancement of his sea of consciousness, the backlash would have caused him to fall into the blood river. However, Grey Toot Toot was on the Bridge of Helplessness, caught by the black stoneman. How could he let Grey Toot Toot stay here? Ning Cheng once again rushed onto the Bridge of Helplessness and shot out with his spear. Boom! An even more powerful backlash erupted. This time, Ning Cheng was prepared for it. Although he suffered another injury, he did not fall into the blood river. When he walked onto the Bridge of Helplessness for the 3rd time, Ning Cheng felt a little flustered. He thought that he could fight against a heavenly emperor, but in this place, he couldn't even break through a stoneman that had caught Grey Toot Toot. Facing this stoneman again, Ning Cheng gripped his Nirvana spear and started to burn his essence blood. Grey Toot Toot had completely lost its spirit, and its head was drooping. Apart from a faint aura, Ning Cheng couldn't tell if it was dead or alive. If he didn't bring Grey Toot Toot back soon, Grey Toot Toot might have really died. As Ning Cheng crazily gathered his celestial essence, his spiritual consciousness tried to break free from the surrounding shackles. At this time, Ning Cheng's body had already formed a circle of celestial essence ripples. Even the everlasting blue thunder fort trembled at this moment. Thunder light automatically overflowed, blowing away the surrounding nether winds. Celestial essence solidified, and with the help of the everlasting blue thunder fort, Ning Cheng once again shot out with his Nirvana spear. Boom! Catcha! The nether winds condensed in front of the black stoneman struck Ning Cheng's Nirvana spear, causing a loud explosion. This time, Ning Cheng did not fly back. The Nirvana spear struck the stoneman's body. After the stoneman exploded, Ning Cheng immediately tried to grab Grey Toot Toot. A nether wind, as if it had a consciousness of its own, rolled up Grey Toot Toot, and disappeared on the other side of the futility bridge. Ning Cheng's body started to weaken, and a more violent nether wind came from the other side of the futility bridge, directly bombarding Ning Cheng's everlasting blue thunder fort. In just a few breaths, Ning Cheng was blasted back. Standing on the futility bridge for the 4th time, Ning Cheng used the Nirvana spear to support his body, while anger flared up in his eyes. The last time, he could feel that it was not a natural counterattack, but a conscious counterattack. This prevented him from taking away Grey Toot Toot, and even caused him to sustain heavy injuries. Unwilling to give up, Ning Cheng continued to walk across the futility bridge. When he reached the place where the stoneman was, he only saw a pile of rubble. Apart from that, there was nothing else, not even a shadow of Grey Toot Toot. Ning Cheng deliberately stopped, but even after waiting for a long time, he could not sense Grey Toot Toot's aura. Ning Cheng had just stepped over the pile of rubble and took a step forward when an even more horrifying nether wind swept over. This time, Ning Cheng could barely resist and was blasted back to the bridgehead. The backlash from the everlasting blue thunder fort was too great, causing Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness to ache once again. This time, he finally could not bear it and spat out a mouthful of blood. If not for the fact that he still had some strength, he would have been thrown into the blood river just now. Standing at the bridgehead of the futility bridge, Ning Cheng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, while blue veins popped up on his hands. Someone definitely controlled it, otherwise, it would be impossible. After knowing that the other side of the futility bridge might lead to the underworld, Ning Cheng even felt a little excited. He wondered if he could find Sun Hanrui and Yuqing. But now it seemed that he was naive. With his strength, not to mention finding Yuqing in Sun Hanrui, he couldn't even walk across the futility bridge. If not for his spiritual consciousness being too powerful, he would have already fallen into the blood river due to the nether wind. If Ning Cheng dared to come down from the dark yellow spring pond with the help of the everlasting blue thunder fort. But as for the blood river, Ning Cheng did not dare to go down. He had a hunch that once he went down into the blood river, even if his everlasting blue thunder fort was more powerful, the Yin Qi would turn him into a pile of bones in an instant. Offending the Yin soldiers, the crime is punishable by death. Jump into the blood river, never to reincarnate. A hollow voice resounded in Ning Cheng's mind, causing Ning Cheng's mind to go blank for an instant. He even walked towards the blood river, as if he should follow the instructions of the voice and jump into the blood river. Then at the cost of never to reincarnate, he would wash away his guilt. No, Ning Cheng stopped at the blood river. As the mysterious yellow aura scoured his spiritual soul and sea of consciousness, he immediately sobered up. Just now, he had almost been affected by this sound. Sure enough, someone was behind this, otherwise, it would be impossible for him to do such a thing. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath and looked at the other side of the futility bridge before speaking up in a cold voice, "I will come back. After I come back, I will give you 10 times the treatment." After saying that, Ning Cheng quickly retreated. He knew that with his current strength, he couldn't do anything here. Chapter 744. At the same time as Ning Cheng retreated, a cold snort arrived. Even with Ning Cheng's cultivation, he still felt his mind shake. The next moment, wave after wave of nether winds assaulted him, causing Ning Cheng's life essence to loosen up, as if the next moment it would break free from his body. If not for the mysterious yellow origin constantly nourishing Ning Cheng's body and spiritual soul, Ning Cheng estimated that he would not have been able to persist for a long time. Ning Cheng's only thought at this moment was to crazily stimulate his celestial essence to rush towards the surface of the yellow spring pond. He had a premonition that if he delayed for even a moment, he might not be able to escape. An even more powerful cold snort resounded in Ning Cheng's mind, as a penetrating hollow voice sounded out from behind Ning Cheng, "You want to leave after taking my things?" After this voice, the winds and clouds above the bridge of coping suddenly changed. Waves after waves of chilly winds swept over. The nether wind hadn't even reached Ning Cheng's everlasting blue thunder fort when it caused the black water in the yellow spring pond to churn. Ning Cheng ignored it and continued to crazily burn his celestial essence to rush upwards. This time, Ning Cheng's speed of rushing upwards was much faster than when he dived to the bottom of the yellow spring pond. After he rushed out of the yellow spring pond, the black water in the yellow spring pond started to churn, and the roaring sounds grew more and more intense. Ning Cheng did not even look back, as he directly rushed towards the paper door. He did not rush into the gate of life or the gate of death. He felt that there was something wrong with both the gates of life and death. If his sea of consciousness hadn't expanded and advanced, he might have chosen to charge through the death gate. Now that his sea of consciousness had expanded and his spiritual consciousness had skyrocketed, he wanted to use the twin wings of the heavenly clouds to return to the main hall once again. Returning to the main hall was the safest path. Ning Cheng had just rushed out of the Yellow Spring Pond when dozens of violent nether winds rushed out of the Yellow Spring Pond. These nether winds rolled up the black water in the Yellow Spring Pond hundreds of feet high before blasting towards Ning Cheng's back. Fortunately, Ning Cheng reacted quickly. By the time the nether wind from the bottom of the Yellow Spring Pond reached the paper door, Ning Cheng had already rushed to the public square. The paper door rattled even louder as it was struck by the horrifying Yin wind. Soon, these raging nether winds rolled up the paper door to one side, before sweeping towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng did not stop at all. After he rushed to the public square, he immediately stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. However, after Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness surged, he activated his twin wings of heavenly fate and flew out of the square. Bang! Several nether winds wrapped around Ning Cheng's everlasting blue thunder fort, causing the thunder radiance of the everlasting blue thunder fort to dim down in an instant. Then a series of ka-ka sounds emerged, as Ning Cheng's rising figure quickly fell back down. Ning Cheng knew that he absolutely could not land on this dark public square again. Therefore, he simply put away the everlasting blue thunder city and desperately stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly fate. Without the consumption of the everlasting blue thunder city, Ning Cheng's speed once again rose by a notch. After a dozen breaths, Ning Cheng could see the pentagonal hall above his head. Right at this moment, another gust of chilly wind swept over. Ning Cheng had already put away the everlasting blue thunder fort. Therefore, this nether wind directly tore through Ning Cheng's domain and struck Ning Cheng's body. As Ning Cheng was hit by the cold wind, his whole body shivered. The next moment, his life essence was about to leave his body, while his spiritual consciousness and celestial essence also plummeted and rapidly weakened. Seeing that his life essence was about to leave his body and that he was about to fall down again, Ning Cheng immediately grabbed a leaf from the rootless green bamboo, chewed it up, and swallowed it. His life essence, which was on the verge of dispersing, slowly stabilized, and the mysterious yellow origin aura started circulating even faster. Feeling the strengthening of his spiritual consciousness and celestial essence, Ning Cheng desperately stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Just now, he had almost fallen down again. If not for the rootless green bamboo, he truly couldn't imagine what would have happened. No wonder the previous few eternal cultivators couldn't escape from this kind of nether wind. Boom! 2 more waves of nether wind blasted towards Ning Cheng. Just as the 2 nether winds were about to wrap around Ning Cheng's ankles, Ning Cheng rushed out and landed in a corner of the pentagonal hall. Not waiting for the nether wind to reach him, Ning Cheng rushed out of the pentagonal hall without even looking back. The nether wind seemed to have reached the entrance of the pentagonal hall before getting blocked by an invisible force. Nevertheless, Ning Cheng did not dare to relax. He kept throwing out array flags, sealing the pentagonal hall layer by layer. Half a day later, Ning Cheng completely sealed off the pentagonal hall before sitting down weakly on the ground. As the nether wind swept past him, he felt himself growing weaker and weaker. As for how Grey Toot Toot managed to get to the coping bridge, Ning Cheng still couldn't figure it out. There must be someone behind the coping bridge, but Ning Cheng didn't think that person could come out. If that person could come out, he wouldn't have escaped here so easily. Since that person couldn't come out, how did Grey Toot Toot get to the coping bridge? It was already the 39th day since Ning Cheng came out of the ancient Shadow Temple. 39 days later, Ning Cheng finally arranged the most powerful sealing array formation outside the ancient Shadow Temple. He had arranged this sealing array formation according to the requirements of the star-protecting Grand Array. Even for the array foundation, Ning Cheng used a high-grade Dao artifact. Ning Cheng had arranged the ceiling array formation from the inside to the outside and had even arranged several layers of it. The terror of the ancient Shadow Temple left Ning Cheng with lingering fear. Jiangzhou Star belonged to him, and Covered Snow City was his lair. He couldn't let this kind of danger exist. Although he didn't want to move the mysterious yellow sect away, Ning Cheng believed that his sealing array would be more than enough. Even if something happened to the ancient Shadow Temple, he would immediately know about it. Under such a powerful sealing array, even Chuan Xinlo wouldn't be able to come out easily. Because Ning Cheng felt extremely weak when he came out of the ancient Shadow Temple. Moreover, after arranging the array here for more than a month, he looked even weaker at this moment. Fortunately, this was Jiangzhou Star. As long as he walked a little more, he could return to Covered Snow City to heal. Ning Cheng had just walked to the gate of Covered Snow City when he saw Ning Rulan running out in a hurry. "Rulan, what's the matter?" Ning Cheng called out in confusion. "Brother." Ning Rulan immediately showed a happy expression on her face when she saw Ning Cheng. She immediately rushed over and rushed into Ning Cheng's arms. "Wu! You scared me to death. I thought you wouldn't come back." Ning Cheng patted Ning Rulan on the shoulder and comforted her. "Rulan, what the hell is going on?" Seeing Ning Rulan, Ning Cheng felt very happy. Rulan had already reached the celestial Shatterer realm after going into seclusion for some time. From this, it could be seen that with the support of a lot of cultivation resources, Rulan's cultivation speed had increased by leaps and bounds. Ruolan finally calmed down, but still spoke up with some lingering fear. According to the rumors outside, nearly 20 eternal-level experts went to the ancient Shadow Temple, but none of them came out. All of them died in the ancient Shadow Temple. When I heard the news, I immediately felt anxious and wanted to find you. Ning Cheng frowned. Even if none of the people who entered the ancient Shadow Temple came out, how did this news spread? It stood to reason that they had entered the ancient Shadow Temple for less than 2 months. Even if an eternal powerhouse didn't appear for 2 years, no one would spread rumors about him dying. But Ning Cheng knew that if he hadn't returned the way he came, this rumor might have been true. Was he the only person who came out after entering the ancient Shadow Temple? "Brother, it's good that you're all right. It means that those rumors are false." Ning Rulan spoke with a relaxed tone. Ning Cheng looked at Ning Rulan cautiously. "Rulan, remember, if you hear such rumors in the future, don't believe them. Think about it, if I died in the ancient Shadow Temple, what's the use of you going in?" Ning Rulan also knew that Ning Cheng was right and nodded. "I know, brother. Do you still want to go out this time?" "Well, I have to go out to take care of some things. I haven't heard from your sister-in-law Luofei and sister-in-law Qianghua yet. Also, I have to go to Culmination Starry Sky. Rulan, when I'm not around, you must work hard in seclusion. Put everything else aside, as long as your own strength is strong enough, that is the hard truth." Ning Cheng exhorted. Ning Rulan nodded and stopped talking. She knew that the gap between her strength and her big brother's was getting bigger and bigger. If she didn't work hard in cultivation, she would only drag her big brother down in the future. "By the way, a person named Duan Gantai came to Stately River Star to look for you." Sect Master Tsang stopped him outside and didn't allow him to enter Stately River Star. Just as Ning Rulan finished speaking, Tsang Saiha came out with several people following behind Tsang Saiha. Sect Master. Tsang Saiha also felt happy when he saw Ning Cheng. There were rumors that none of the eternal powerhouses who entered the ancient Shadow Temple had come out, but Tsang Saiha believed it. As an eternal powerhouse, he could more or less sense eternal cultivators. What's more, how could he not know that the ancient Shadow Temple was located in Stately River Star? Ning Cheng quickly spoke up. "Sect Master Tsang has worked hard while I was away. Greetings Senior Ning." 2 heaven-seated cultivators came forward and bowed to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng nodded. One of the two was Ozhinkong, the one he had placed a restriction on. From the looks of it, the restriction must have been forcibly sealed. If he hadn't appeared, Ozhinkong would have been in grave danger. "Senior, this is my uncle Oxingshang. My uncle sent me and Dao friend Warren to stately River Star." Ozhinkong couldn't contain the excitement in his heart after seeing Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had placed a restriction on him, which he couldn't remove. If Ning Cheng really fell in the ancient Shadow Temple, he could only accept his fate. Mysterious Yellow Sect's deputy sect master Tsang Tsaiha was not only the premier pill emperor but also a late-stage eternal powerhouse. Even without Ning Cheng, his O clan couldn't afford to offend him. "Greetings, sect master." Warren and Yuanxue had long wanted to come up and greet him, but Ning Cheng had been talking to someone else. It could be said that Ning Cheng had saved the two of them. Without Ning Cheng, they would have died a long time ago. Although everyone treated them politely after they arrived at Covered Snow City. Before meeting Ning Cheng, they had always felt some knots in their hearts. Ning Cheng chuckled, "We're all friends, so there's no need to be so polite. What do you two plan to do in the future?" Warren and Yuanxue quickly spoke up, "Sect master, we want to join the mysterious Yellow Sect." Ning Cheng directly took out 2 jade bottles and handed them to the two before saying, "These are Accordance Heavenly Pills. Go into seclusion and prepare to advance to the heaven-seated realm. After you advance to the heaven-seated realm, you will become elders of the mysterious Yellow Sect." If Warren and Yuanxue didn't intend to join the mysterious Yellow Sect, Ning Cheng would have politely entertained them and then sent them away. However, he would never take out the Accordance Heavenly Pills. His Accordance Heavenly Pills weren't something that came out of nowhere. Although they vaguely knew that Ning Cheng might want to cultivate them, Warren and Yuanxue still couldn't contain their excitement when they received the Accordance Heavenly Pills. They had been rogue cultivators for their entire lives and had taken countless risks, but they might not even get a single Accordance Heavenly Pill. Cultivating within the starry sky truly required opportunities. Chapter 745. Ozhinkong felt a little anxious on the side, but even if he felt anxious, he did not dare to interrupt Ning Cheng's words. Fortunately, after Ning Cheng handed the medicinal pills to Warren and Yuanxue, he raised his hand and slapped Ozhinkong's glabella. Ozhinkong didn't even have the chance to stop it. Xingshang's expression changed, but he didn't dare to stop them. When Ning Cheng's palm left Ozhinkong's glabella, Ozhinkong immediately bowed to Ning Cheng in surprise, "Many thanks, senior, for removing the restriction on this junior." Xingshang heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Ozhinkong, and he hurriedly bowed to express his gratitude. It was really difficult for a family like theirs to produce a Sky Realm powerhouse. If Ozhinkong were to fall, it would absolutely be a huge blow to the O clan. Ning Cheng nodded and asked Warren, "You should have gone to Cheng Rulan Artifact Crafting Store, right? Did you see Jian Jiao?" Warren shook his head, "We were waiting in Cheng Rulan Artifact Crafting Store. I've heard about junior apprentice brother Jian Jiao, but when we arrived, junior apprentice brother Jian Jiao had not returned." Ning Cheng suddenly frowned. According to the words of the shop assistant who was familiar with Jian Jiao should have already returned. If he hadn't returned yet, then it was very likely that something had happened. "You can go back into secluded cultivation first. I also want to go into seclusion for a while." Ning Cheng knew that something might have happened to Jian Jiao and felt a little worried. Therefore, he wanted to go and take a look. Ning Rulan also knew that she had to speed up her cultivation. Now that her big brother was alright, she decided to head back first to continue her seclusion. Warren and Yuanxue had long since wanted to attack the heaven-seated realm. Now that they received Ning Cheng's instructions, they quickly said their goodbyes. After Ozhinkong and the others left, Ning Cheng asked, "Sect Master Tsang, I heard that a cultivator named Duan Gantai came here?" Tsang Tsaiha replied with a dignified expression, "Yes, I was just about to mention this to Sect Master." This Duan Gantai and I met before and even had a vague confrontation. This person's cultivation seemed to have just entered the life and death realm, but his strength was astonishing. Even though he hasn't used his full strength, I can tell that he has great potential. He's looking for you. Sect Master, you must be careful. This person doesn't look easy to deal with. Ning Qing secretly praised Zhang Caihe in his heart. Zhang Caihe was one of the 3 major rogue cultivators and also the premier pill emperor. If Duan Gantai were easy to deal with, he wouldn't have wanted to cooperate with him today. Sect Master Tsang, I'm going into seclusion for a while. After that, I'll have to make a trip to the Devouring Bone Sea before heading to Culmination Starland. I'll have to trouble Sect Master Tsang with regards to the matters of Stately River Star and Mysterious Yellow Celestial River. Ning Qing spoke with an apologetic tone. After the establishment of the sect, he rarely took care of things. Zhang Caihe originally didn't like to meddle in these things, but now that he was being pulled by him, he had no choice but to do so. Ning Qing really didn't have the time to stay in Covered Snow City to manage the sect. He had too many things to do. Although he wanted to go to the Devouring Bone Sea for the Purple Light Treasure Eyes, his Celestial River Flame was still only at the 2nd grade Nirvana realm. If he wanted to improve his strength, he needed to improve his flame at a faster pace. In the jade strip given to him by Starry Sky Emperor Wu Hong, it stated that the Purple Light Treasure Eyes came from the Devouring Bone Sea. Heavenly Emperor Wu Hong was a good person, but unfortunately, Ning Qing couldn't save him in time. Otherwise, Ning Qing would have definitely helped them. It was already the 5th month since Ning Qing came out of the ancient Shadow Temple. Ning Qing once again handed over the sect's matters to Zhang Caihe and left Stately River Star. He left a talisman for Zhang Caihe, a talisman that contained a trace of his spiritual sense. No matter where he was, as long as Zhang Caihe crushed this talisman, he would be able to sense it. During the 5 months of seclusion in the mysterious Yellow Sect, Ning Qing, in addition to forcing out the yin chill in his body, stabilized his sea of consciousness. His sea of consciousness had expanded to another level, and his spiritual sense had also soared. Therefore, he had to spend some time stabilizing it. In the end, Ning Qing refined the measureless gourd. After refining the measureless gourd, Ning Qing had no idea how powerful this gourd was. Because this gourd didn't have any offensive or defensive effects. According to the information Ning Qing obtained after refining it, this gourd's only function was to store things. Ning Qing couldn't figure out why such a gourd would be placed together with the Opening Heaven Talisman's Child Talisman and even the Tao Fruit. After experiencing the dangers of the ancient Shadow Temple, Ning Qing now suspected that the person behind the Futility Bridge had deliberately placed the 5 golden boxes there. Moreover, the person's purpose was to pretend to be mysterious and then attract powerhouses to jump down from the pentagonal hall. To be honest, Ning Qing didn't hesitate to jump down at that time. It was also because he had the same thoughts as the other Starry Sky Emperors. That is, since the pentagonal hall contained so many treasures, then there must be even more treasures below. Who knew that after jumping down, it would be a deadly pit? In any case, Ning Qing wouldn't return to the ancient Shadow Temple until he grew strong to a certain extent. At this time, he had already arrived at the Night Essence Celestial River. Strictly speaking, the Devouring Bone Sea didn't belong to the Night Essence Celestial River. Originally, there was an uninhabited planet in the starry sky near the Night Essence Celestial River. Because this planet had all kinds of poisonous miasma, coupled with the thin starry sky essence chi, it wasn't suitable for cultivators to survive. However, cultivation resources were limited in the starry sky. Therefore, when rogue cultivators couldn't find cultivation resources, even if it was a planet unsuitable for survival, they would still search for it. However, this uninhabited planet also attracted some rogue cultivators, which was how they discovered the Devouring Bone Sea. The Devouring Bone Sea was located at the center of this planet. One could say that this uninhabited planet had nothing but a sea, except for some land around it. This sea was the devouring bone sea. Even an eternal powerhouse's spiritual consciousness couldn't sweep through a slightly larger planet. Moreover, the planet where the devouring bone sea was located was several times larger than the average planet. Naturally, no one could sweep through such a large planet. After many cultivators discovered the devouring bone sea, they found all kinds of heavenly treasures in the devouring bone sea. Even many eternal powerhouses would go to the devouring bone sea to search for cultivation resources. Although the devouring bone sea had many good things, it was also a dangerous place. Of the cultivators who entered the devouring bone sea, only half of them could return alive. Most of the cultivators who entered the devouring bone sea would disappear without a trace. Skeletons often surfaced on the beaches of the devouring bone sea, which was also where the name devouring bone sea came from. Over time, the planet where the devouring bone sea was located also came to be known as the devouring bone star. Ning Cheng initially thought that there wouldn't be many people in a dangerous place like the devouring bone sea. But when he arrived at the devouring bone sea, he realized how outrageous his thoughts were. It wasn't that there weren't many people here, rather, it was as crowded as a bustling starry sky city. At the edge of the devouring bone sea, a temporary city had already been established. Cultivators came here to trade, while cultivators formed teams to enter the devouring bone sea. "Kid, you stole this old man's things and want to leave, don't even dream about it." Ning Cheng was just about to buy a jade strip with a map of the devouring bone sea when a familiar figure appeared in the range of Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness. Ning Cheng immediately caught this person's voice. Whether it was the figure or the voice, Ning Cheng found it familiar. He knew this person. To be precise, he knew this starry sky beggar. In the starry sky, many people dressed up as wanderers or adventurers, but not many dressed up as beggars. Moreover, this fellow liked to dress up as a beggar and swindle people everywhere. Ning Cheng had almost fallen into his trap at that time. Fortunately, Ning Cheng was rational enough to use this old beggar once. Seeing the old beggar slap a man and a woman to the ground, Ning Cheng immediately flew over. "Hey, kid, I was just about to look for you. I didn't expect you to take the initiative to come to me. This old man told you to go to Bright South Celestial River, why didn't you go? Don't worry, wait for me to deal with these two little things, then this old man will come and settle accounts with you." After the old beggar saw Ning Cheng, his eyes immediately lit up. He had wanted to leave a mark on Ning Cheng, but he didn't expect to fall into Ning Cheng's trap. He just didn't want to look for Ning Cheng. He didn't expect to meet Ning Cheng in this place. Ning Cheng showed a slight smile but didn't speak, nor did he leave. This old beggar was the Celestial River King of Bright South Celestial River. When he first met Bright South Celestial River King, he was still a celestial novice ant. His cultivation was worlds apart from Bright South Celestial River King. But when they met again, he was already a life and death expert, while Bright South Celestial River King was still in the heaven-seated realm. If he was an ant in front of Bright South Celestial River King in the past, then Bright South Celestial River King was now an ant in front of him. The world was unpredictable. Who would have thought that in such a short time, the strong and the weak would change positions? Bright South Celestial River King was still a chess piece under Striking Order Heavenly Emperor, while he and Striking Order had already become brothers. Bright South Celestial River King on seeing Ning Cheng waiting on the side felt a little satisfied. He stared at the man and woman in front of him, who he had just slapped away, and said, "Two ants dared to steal this king's things. What are your names?" Ning Cheng secretly felt disdain in his heart. This man and woman only had celestial novice cultivation. Ning Cheng didn't believe that two celestial novice cultivators would dare to steal something from a celestial river king. Most likely, Bright South Celestial River King had taken a fancy to the things on these two celestial novice cultivators and found an excuse to snatch them. Ning Cheng already knew what kind of person Bright South Celestial River King was. If not for the middle-aged scholar standing next to him, Bright South Celestial River King might have taken him away at that time. He would never have wasted an image card. This junior is Lei Junfeng, and this is this junior's Dao companion, Bei Shelon. Although Bright South Celestial River King had crippled the Celestial Shatterer male cultivator's cultivation, he still spoke in a respectful tone without even the slightest bit of resentment. The people next to him could even hear the genuine respect in his tone. Ning Qing secretly admired this fellow. If this fellow hadn't met Bright South Celestial River King and ended up crippled, he would have definitely become a powerful character in the future. Wait, Ning Qing suddenly felt that the names Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelon sounded a little familiar. At this moment, Lei Junfeng continued, "Senior, this junior must have been blind." Seeing Senior's glazed scroll gave rise to greed. While speaking, Lei Junfeng knelt on the ground and raised a painting with both hands. Ning Cheng's expression changed when he saw the glazed scroll. He finally remembered who Lei Junfeng was. Chapter 746. Not waiting for Bright South Celestial River King to take action, Ning Cheng raised his hand and took the glazed scroll from Lei Junfeng's hand. Bright South Celestial River King's face sank. A celestial novice ant dared to take away the glazed scroll before he even opened his mouth. Even at this moment, he still didn't think that Ning Cheng really wanted to take away the glazed scroll and instead helped him take it. Even so, he still felt uncomfortable in his heart. He didn't need this kind of flattery. You too have some guts. You stole my Rainbow Fall Sword sect hallowed treasure, the glazed scroll, and even dared to offer it to others here. Ning Cheng grabbed the glazed scroll and spoke with a cold expression. Only then did Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelon see Ning Cheng. When Lei Junfeng saw Ning Cheng, his expressions suddenly changed, and he quickly spoke up, "Lei Junfeng greets Sect Master Ning." Ning Cheng had a huge reputation in the graceful Star Mainland. As long as one was a cultivator from the Tian continent in the graceful Star Mainland, no one would not know about Ning Cheng. Moreover, when Ning Cheng entered Heaven's Way, Lei Junfeng was still far from entering Heaven's Way. Although Ning Cheng didn't know about him, he knew about Ning Cheng. Bei Shelon greets Sect Master Ning. Bei Shelon had always been hiding with Lei Junfeng, so she naturally knew about Ning Cheng's illustrious name. They had become traitors to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and turned against the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Although they hid in the dark, they had always been paying attention to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Ning Cheng single-handedly swept through the major sects of the Tian continent and even destroyed the top-ranked Red Star Sword faction. This kind of prestige made them not dare to come forward. Bright South Celestial River King gave a cold snort and stared at Ning Cheng. "Little thing, I just caught up with the thing I lost." "What do you mean by taking it away? Do you think that this king would spare your life just because you met this king once?" While speaking, Bright South Celestial River King's domain opened up, and a powerful imposing aura pressed down on Ning Cheng. Even if he was slow, Bright South Celestial River King understood that Ning Cheng wasn't trying to flatter him. Instead, he really wanted to take away the glazed scroll. With Bright South Celestial River King's reputation, even those who did not know about Bright South Celestial River King, upon hearing this king's address and seeing Bright South Celestial River King's anger, would quickly step aside. Ning Cheng showed a faint smile and slowly walked towards Bright South Celestial River King while holding the glazed scroll. "This beggar, this glazed scroll is my Rainbow Fall Sword sect protecting treasure. It comes from a low-level positional plane. How did it become yours? Don't talk nonsense, or I'll get angry." Bright South Celestial River King saw Ning Cheng walking over unaffected, while his domain crumbled like a piece of paper. Seeing this, Bright South Celestial River King's expressions immediately changed. To be able to stroll around so leisurely in his domain, one's cultivation must be much higher than his. How many years had it been? This kid had actually grown to such an extent. He had traveled to many places in the starry sky and experienced many years. Yet, he had never seen such a monstrous character like Ning Cheng. He had not misjudged this kid back then. There was a big secret on this kid. A trace of regret welled up in his heart, but Bright South Celestial River King quickly suppressed it. Forcing a smile on his face, he spoke, "So it's Sect Master Ning. I wonder if Sect Master Ning has the time to visit my Bright South Celestial River." Ning Cheng was just a nobody. Even if he had heard of Ning Cheng's name in the past, he would not have taken it to heart. But when he heard Lei Junfeng address Ning Cheng as Sect Master Ning, he decided to call him Sect Master Ning. In his opinion, Ning Cheng's cultivation should have reached the heaven-seated realm, but not much higher than him. Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelon looked at Ning Cheng sluggishly. Both of them were geniuses among geniuses. Only now did the two of them realize what a true genius was. This Sect Master Ning seemed to be a powerhouse among powerhouses no matter where he went. Ning Cheng spoke up with a calm voice, "You're just a celestial river king, and you can't even move me. If you hadn't inadvertently helped me in the past, I would have wasted you today for daring to snatch my Rainbow Fall Sword Sex Glaze Scroll. You can leave now. Don't affect my mood." While speaking, a powerful imposing aura pressed down on Bright South Celestial River King. Not only did this imposing aura instantly dissipate Bright South Celestial River King's domain, but it also prevented him from speaking for a while. In the face of this kind of power, Bright South Celestial River King's heart trembled. If he thought that Ning Cheng was an ant when he first saw Ning Cheng, then a dozen breaths ago, he had already regarded Ning Cheng as an opponent on the same level. But now, he was sure that the gap between him and Ning Cheng was just too far apart. Even in front of Ning Cheng, he was just an ant. Knowing that he couldn't compare to Ning Cheng, Bright South Celestial River King quickly cupped his fists and said, "Bright South is reckless. I haven't asked where the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect is located. Bright South will pay a formal visit in the future." Fearing that Ning Cheng would misunderstand, Bright South Celestial River King spoke very carefully. However, his words also represented that he was somewhat unwilling and wanted to know about Ning Cheng's background. Ning Cheng smiled, "My name is Ning Cheng, Mysterious Yellow Celestial River's Jiangzhou Celestial Lord, Mysterious Yellow Sect Master. But if you want to visit me, you're still not qualified." After Bright South Celestial River King heard Ning Cheng's words, cold sweat broke out on his back. He didn't know about Sect Master Ning, but he was too familiar with Jiangzhou Star's Ning Cheng. This was a person who called Striking Order Heavenly Emperor a brother. He had heard that named descendant Celestial River King had offended Ning Cheng and ended up getting killed by Ning Cheng. Named descendant Celestial River also became his territory and was renamed Mysterious Yellow Celestial River. Even so, Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor and Nine Phoenix Heavenly Emperor still came to visit him in person. They didn't even mention half a word about taking back descendant Celestial River. Since Bright South Celestial River King had offended such a powerhouse, no matter how many heads he had, it wouldn't be enough for them to ring it off. Bright South Celestial River King no longer dared to sit on the same level as Ning Cheng and cupped his fists. Instead, he directly bowed to the ground. Bright South has eyes but failed to see. Seeing the glazed scroll, I became greedy and offended Senior Ning. Please forgive me, Senior. Despite asking for Ning Cheng's forgiveness, Bright South Celestial River King couldn't help but tremble slightly. He had also heard that Mysterious Yellow Sect Master and more than a dozen eternal-level powerhouses, including the 4 Grand Starry Sky Emperors, had entered the ancient Shadow Temple. But now, none of the eternal-level Heavenly Emperors who entered the ancient Shadow Temple had any news about Sect Master Ning. Just thinking about it made him tremble. You can go now. If you don't get rid of your greed, it will bring disaster to you sooner or later. Ning Cheng put away the glazed scroll and spoke with a calm voice. Yes. This junior will remember Senior's teachings. This junior will take his leave. Bright South Celestial River King didn't even dare to wipe the cold sweat from his forehead and quickly left. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. Didn't he feel the same fear when facing Bright South Celestial River King in the past? Did he have to address Bright South Celestial River King as senior? The world was unpredictable. Now, Bright South Celestial River King had to address him as senior, yet he still felt the same fear when facing him. Within the starry sky, it was indeed a powerhouse who spoke. If not for his higher cultivation compared to Bright South Celestial River King, he would have suffered a detailed soul search from Bright South Celestial River King. Sect Master Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelon, on seeing an expert like Bright South Celestial River King address Ning Cheng as senior, and retreated in fear, felt even more flustered. Ning Cheng's gaze swept over Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelon before looking at Bei Shelon and speaking in a cold voice, "Dan Wenyao must have gone blind to like a woman like you." Sect Master. Bei Shelon's voice trembled. She felt worried that Ning Cheng could kill her and Lei Junfeng with just a raise of his hand. Get lost. You two deceived your masters and destroyed your ancestors. You deserve to fall into this situation. Ning Cheng berated. He didn't want to kill these two people who had lost their cultivations at all. Losing their cultivation in such a place was tantamount to death. To be honest, he didn't have any direct hatred for Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelon. Although he had taken care of the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect Master for some time and had some feelings for the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. However, in Ning Cheng's heart, he recognized the current mysterious Yellow Sect more. After all, the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect wasn't his own sect. Many thanks, Sect Master, for showing mercy. Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelon knelt on the ground and then slowly retreated. They felt even more shocked than Bright South Celestial River King. Ning Cheng had left the graceful Star Mainland around the same time as them. But now, even Bright South Celestial River King had to bow and call Ning Cheng senior. As for them, they had tried everything to improve their strength, only to end up like this. Ning Cheng looked at the backs of the two and shook his head. It was true that these two people loved each other, but even if they loved each other and wanted to escape from the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, it was just a matter of morality. However, these two people had gone too far. Not only did they betray the sect, but they even colluded with outsiders to snatch the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword from the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Ning Cheng could never tolerate such a thing. Otherwise, Ning Cheng would have just helped the two of them, and it would not have been impossible. Although the devouring bone sea was vast, most of the cultivators who came here were concentrated around a temporary city. The news that Bright South Celestial River King had to call Ning Cheng senior spread throughout this temporary city by the devouring bone sea in a short time. When Ning Cheng came in, the cultivators on both sides of the street immediately gave way in awe. This made Ning Cheng feel a little helpless. The law of the jungle, where the strong preyed on the weak, manifested itself even more vividly in the devouring bone sea. No one cared about this place, and the cultivators who came and went constantly changed their faces. The weak didn't want to provoke the strong, let alone clash with a powerhouse like Ning Cheng. Senior, what do you need? Ning Cheng had just walked into a merchant house when the shop assistant greeted him with a smile and a respectful expression. Ning Cheng found that although there were many people here, only he had a dedicated shop assistant greeting him with a smile. I need a detailed map of the devouring bone sea. Ning Cheng didn't want to stay in this place for long. After getting the map, he immediately set out to sea. The shop assistant hurriedly explained, Senior, the devouring bone sea is too big. Even the maps are piece by piece. If Senior wants to tell me what you are looking for, this Junior can help Senior find a map of a specific area. I want to find the purple light treasure essence. Ning Cheng didn't hide anything. He came here to find the purple light treasure essence. Moreover, with his strength, no one would dare to do anything to him. The shop assistant's face stiffened and spoke up in embarrassment, purple light treasure essence. This. Ning Cheng could tell from his tone and expression that he might not have even heard of the purple light treasure essence. Something like the purple light treasure essence wasn't something ordinary cultivators could come into contact with. Even if it existed in the devouring bone sea, it wouldn't be in the periphery. Senior, I know about this thing. A sudden voice spoke up from beside Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng felt happy and was just about to speak when he saw Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelan walking in, supporting each other. Chapter 747. Ning Cheng felt a little puzzled. It stood to reason that Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelan should have gone as far as possible. These two fellows had met him. If they had met Rui Baishan, then Rui Baishan would have already killed these two fellows. Ning Cheng didn't care about the Lei Junfeng duo and looked at the dark-faced youth with a smile. Did you just say that you know about the purple light treasure essence? It was this black-faced youth who had said that he knew about purple light treasure essence. This dark-faced youth only had the cultivation of late-stage celestial gatherer realm. At this time, on seeing Ning Cheng speak to him, his face immediately turned red with excitement. Yes, senior, I have a jade strip here. The jade slip is a place in the devouring bone sea. It's marked with purple light treasure essence, but I don't know what it is. While speaking, this black-faced youth respectfully handed over a jade strip to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness casually swept through the jade strip and immediately knew that this young man did not lie. This jade strip was definitely quite old. Furthermore, the cultivation of the person who inscribed it was not low. It should be a fake. Thanks a lot. Ning Cheng put away the jade strip, took out a jade bottle and handed it to the black-faced youth. These are a few soul-nourishing pills, I'll give them to you. Thank you, senior. The young man bowed and took the jade bottle. He was still a little disappointed. As long as he saved up for a period of time, he would be able to afford a few vitality pills. This was only a grade 3 celestial pill, and its function was to assist in healing injuries. It was not something valuable. The people next to him also felt bored. They had all thought that Ning Cheng, a senior like him, would definitely come up with something really good. Unexpectedly, it was just a few vitality pills. Even though he was slightly disappointed, the black-faced youth was still very grateful. After all, a few vitality pills could be considered a small fortune. As he bowed and retreated, Ning Cheng's voice suddenly resounded in his mind. Among those spiritual nourishing pills, there is also a harmonizing celestial pill. Whether you can advance to the celestial bridge realm or not, it will depend on your own luck. The black-faced youth trembled slightly, but quickly returned to normal. He forcefully suppressed the surprise and excitement in his heart and left the merchant building. He never thought that he would be able to obtain a harmonizing celestial pill. The harmonizing celestial pill was a medicinal pill that could help one advance from the celestial gatherer realm to the celestial bridge realm. Even if one had enough celestial coins, one might not necessarily be able to buy such a medicinal pill. Moreover, he couldn't afford it. There were so many celestial gatherer rogue cultivators in the devouring bone sea. Didn't they all come here to advance to the celestial bridge realm? At this moment, his heart was filled with gratitude towards Ning Cheng. He knew that Ning Cheng was protecting him. If Ning Cheng had directly given him a harmonizing celestial pill, he might not have survived until tomorrow morning. After getting the news about the purple light treasure essence, Ning Cheng just wanted to set out to sea as soon as possible. He glanced at Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelan at the door but didn't speak. Instead, he turned around and left. Headmaster. Seeing Ning Cheng walk out of the merchant house, Lei Junfeng quickly called out from behind. Ning Cheng did not stop. While walking forward, he spoke out in a cold voice, "What's the matter? Moreover, you are not disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, do not call me sect master." Lei Junfeng hurriedly took a few steps forward. "Senior, the reason why we came to the devouring bone sea is because we obtained a starry sky positional ball. Shalan and I no longer have a chance, so I want to give this locale ball to Senior. Lei Junfeng really did not dare to call Ning Cheng as sect master, but instead changed the way he addressed him as Senior. Ning Cheng took the positional ball from Lei Junfeng's hands in doubt, and swept out with his spiritual consciousness. Immediately, Ning Cheng's expressions changed slightly. This was a starry sky map. This starry sky map somewhat resembled the starry sky positional map on his starry sky wheel, but it was much more detailed than the starry sky positional map on the starry sky wheel. As Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept over it, he felt as if he was looking at a miniature version of the starry sky. On this miniature version of the starry sky positional ball, Ning Cheng easily found the location of the devouring bone sea. However, it didn't label the devouring bone sea, but only an uninhabited planet. On this uninhabited planet, there was a sea. In the middle of the sea, there were two words, Treasure 1. According to the starry sky positional ball, this uninhabited planet was obviously the devouring bone star, and the sea inside the sea was the devouring bone sea. As long as one's spiritual consciousness communicated with this starry sky positional ball, one could easily find this location in the sea. Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelon had low cultivation, yet they could find this place through this starry sky positional ball. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness left the starry sky positional ball in his hand and nodded, "This thing is useful to me, and with your cultivation, you can't find this place. I won't take your things for free." While talking, Ning Cheng raised his hand and shot out two medicinal pills. The two medicinal pills seemed to have eyes and fell into Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelon's mouths. Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelon felt the broken meridians in their bodies instantly condense, and their lost celestial essence cultivation also recovered in an instant. The two immediately understood that this was a top-grade healing medicinal pill. If Ning Cheng hadn't given them this medicinal pill, even if they were in the Heaven's Mandate realm, they wouldn't have been able to obtain this kind of medicinal pill with their current strength. In just a dozen breaths, Lei Junfeng and Bei Shelon's cultivation completely recovered. Even the broken meridians under Bright South Celestial River King quickly recovered. Many thanks for Senior's life-saving grace. Lei Junfeng knelt on the ground and spoke with a trembling voice. To be honest, the moment Bright South Celestial River King stopped them, he knew that he was finished. He didn't expect to survive in this desperate situation. Ning Cheng spoke with a calm voice, "You don't have to thank me for saving your life. I have nothing to do with you. It's just an exchange of benefits. With your cold temperament, I wouldn't have saved you if it wasn't for the exchange of benefits." Lei Junfeng pursed his lips and spoke with a hoarse voice, "I know that Senior looks down on me, but I do have an extreme temperament. When Shelon and I secretly fell in love with each other in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, Dan Wenyao forced Shelon to marry him even though Shelon didn't agree. Rui Baishan also fully supported Dan Wenyao. That's why Shelon and I decided to take revenge and leave the sect." Ning Cheng waved his hand, and his figure flashed before disappearing into the depths of the devouring bone sea. Ning Cheng hated people like Lei Junfeng. To take revenge, he used his woman as a spy and even colluded with the enemy. He had gotten his revenge, but he had also taken back a black and oily green hat. Seeing Ning Cheng leave after restoring their cultivation, Lei Junfeng's face turned a little gloomy. He had only achieved half of his goal. He had imagined Ning Cheng sheltering them, or even giving them some benefits, but it didn't happen. "Junfeng, it's already very good that we could preserve our cultivation. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to leave the devouring bone star and could only wait for death here." Bei Shelon and Lei Junfeng had been together for many years and naturally understood Lei Junfeng's thoughts. Lei Junfeng's expressions changed a few times before he sighed and said, "Let's go, Shelon. One day, I will also stand at the top of the starry sky and let those who looked down on me and bullied me see that I, Lei Junfeng, am also a powerhouse." After entering the devouring bone sea, Ning Cheng encountered some whirlpools from time to time. These whirlpools had a strong rotational suction force, and if one was not careful, one would end up getting sucked into the sea. No wonder few people came to the depths of the devouring bone sea. Except for people with his cultivation, if ordinary cultivators came here, as long as they encountered a whirlpool, they would have no chance of survival. Even with Ning Cheng's speed, it took him 2 days to reach the location of the jade strip given to him by the black-faced youth. After arriving here, Ning Cheng finally understood why this place contained the purple light treasure essence. This place was a volcanic island, and Ning Cheng could feel the terrifying heat coming from it even before he got close to the edge of the island. The water at the edge of the island was boiling after being assimilated by the terrifying temperature. The steam vaguely covered the volcanic island. If it weren't for the devouring bone sea's sheer size, which allowed water to continuously fill up the evaporated edges of the island, the devouring bone sea might have dried up by now. Ning Cheng landed on the volcanic island and blocked the terrifying heat with his domain. Ning Cheng couldn't help but marvel at it. Under such terrifying heat, even an eternal-level expert couldn't enter the center of the island without a powerful defensive weapon or a powerful body-forging cultivation. Ning Cheng didn't dare to bring out his twin wings of the heavenly clouds. His twin wings of the heavenly clouds couldn't withstand this kind of heat without undergoing nirvana. Ning Cheng carefully moved towards the center of the volcanic island, and the temperature kept rising. Ning Cheng's domain crackled under the heat, as if it would collapse at any time. Even so, Ning Cheng didn't plan to bring out the everlasting Blue Thunder City. He just operated the body-forging cultivation method while moving forward. Body-forging in a place with such terrifying heat was the best option. Bang! With a soft sound, just as Ning Cheng was about to reach the center of the volcanic island, his clothes suddenly shattered and turned into nothingness. A dazzling purple light shot out, and the purple light, along with the terrifying heat, bombarded Ning Cheng's body. Under Ning Cheng's body-forging cultivation method, this tearing heat continuously refined and transformed into a powerful corporeal body. Ning Cheng's pace grew slower and slower, and after an unknown amount of time, his bones once again gave out crackling sounds. Ning Cheng stopped. He originally came here to look for the purple light treasure essence, but he didn't expect that his body-forging cultivation would advance to the middle stage of the starry sky body before he even reached the depths of this volcanic island. Feeling the power of his corporeal body, Ning Cheng opened his eyes and felt delighted. This definitely wasn't an ordinary flame. No matter how powerful his body-forging cultivation method was, an ordinary flame wouldn't have helped him advance this quickly. Ning Cheng's gaze then shifted to a purple crystal in front of him, which was the purple light treasure essence. At this time, Ning Cheng felt sure that Wu Hong didn't obtain the purple light treasure essence in this place. If Wu Hong could come here, then he wouldn't have obtained just one purple light treasure essence. Ning Cheng hadn't even started looking for it, yet he had already obtained a purple light treasure essence. From this, it showed how many purple light treasure essences there were in this place. Ning Cheng raised his hand and grabbed the purple light treasure essence and put it into the jade box. Just as he was about to continue looking around, he suddenly felt a sense of vigilance in his heart. Was there someone nearby? Ning Cheng quickly took out a set of robes and put them on. His domain and his body-forging shield blocked the terrifying heat around him. Chapter 748. The fiery flame waves continued to rush towards Ning Cheng in waves. Even with Ning Cheng's middle-stage starry sky body's powerful body-forging cultivation, he still felt restless. As long as he relaxed even a little, the horrifying heat waves would tear through his domain and shield. The aura came from the center of the island. After walking a few feet, Ning Cheng had to bring out the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort. Ning Cheng could reach the center of the island without bringing out the Blue Thunder Fort, but he only wore ordinary clothes, which couldn't block the heat at all. Unless it was a last resort, under normal circumstances, Ning Cheng was not willing to face a stranger naked. After bringing out the Blue Thunder Fort, the pressure on Ning Cheng suddenly decreased. After a dozen breaths, Ning Cheng finally saw the aura he felt. It was indeed a person, and a woman at that. This woman was completely naked, and Ning Cheng couldn't find even a single flaw in her perfect curves. It felt as if the flames had taken away all the excess parts of her body, leaving behind only a masterpiece of heaven and earth. She stood in the middle of the flames at the center of the island, letting the colorless flames surround and scour her body without moving an inch. Ning Cheng was still a few feet away from the center of the island and had the protection of the everlasting blue thunder fort. Even with his middle-stage starry sky body's body-forging cultivation, he still felt a little overwhelmed. Moreover, this woman didn't even have an inch of gauze on her body. Yet, despite the horrifying flames lingering around her body, she didn't feel anything. The horrifying colorless flames kept brushing past the woman's white body, but they couldn't even leave a mark on her body. Ning Cheng didn't have the mood to appreciate this woman's body. In his opinion, this woman had at least reached the peak of the starry sky body. Otherwise, it would be impossible for her to remain unscathed in such a horrifying place. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng secretly felt shocked. His body-forging speed, in addition to his tenacity, had a lot to do with the mysterious yellow origin and the mysterious yellow formless. In this place, he actually saw a woman with a body-forging cultivation much higher than his own. This woman had already reached the peak of the starry sky body, yet she still cultivated so desperately. In terms of pure willpower, she was also tougher than him. Ning Cheng carefully retreated. He didn't want to alarm such a powerhouse. It would be fine if he met a woman who was easy to talk to. But if he met an unreasonable woman with a higher cultivation than him, he might even suffer a loss. However, Ning Cheng only took a step back when he felt something wrong. This woman was a bit strange. To be able to stand in the center of the island and temper one's body, one's cultivation was definitely not inferior to his. Even if he was tempering his body here, he would be alarmed if someone approached him from such a close distance. However, this woman only had her aura circulating, and she didn't seem to be startled at all. Ning Cheng's gaze fell on the lower part of the woman's body. He did not look at the private parts of the woman's body. What he looked at was the light blue-colored stone slab that the woman was standing on. When his divine sense fell on this slate, it was instantly weakened by the terrifying temperature. The flames on this volcanic island came from this light green stone slab. This woman dared to stand on this stone slab to temper her body. How terrifying was her cultivation and physical body. Ning Cheng suddenly had an impulse in his heart. He wanted this slate. His spiritual sense carefully landed on the woman's body, and sure enough, just as he had expected, the woman's consciousness was completely blurred, and her primordial spirit was beginning to dissipate. Ning Cheng slowly gave out a sigh. He understood that this woman should have been unable to control such a powerful temperature in the process of body forging. As a result, he was injured by the fire poison when he tried to break through to the next realm. In order to save her life, she had forcibly sealed off her six senses, which was a result of her instinctive body-forging cultivation method. One could say that if no one helped her, after her primordial spirit dissipated, her corporeal body would also end up burning, and she would eventually fall. Initially, Ning Cheng was still hesitating whether he should take away this bluestone or not, but seeing that this woman was about to fall, Ning Cheng finally felt relieved. If he took away this bluestone, it would also be equivalent to helping this woman. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng did not hesitate to jump on the edge of the bluestone slab in the center of the island. The terrifying temperature swept over, causing Ning Cheng's everlasting blue thunder city to give out caw-caw sounds and instantly shrink. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath and was just about to trap this bluestone slab with restrictions when he felt the celestial river in his sea of consciousness excitedly jumping around. When he picked up the purple light treasure essence, the celestial river had not jumped around. He did not expect that this slate would make the celestial river jump around. Ning Cheng felt happy and immediately brought out the celestial river. The celestial river turned into a blue light and fell onto the bluestone slab. Ning Cheng and the celestial river had a spiritual connection, which allowed him to clearly feel the changes in the celestial river. The two golden lights outside the celestial river flame quickly turned into three. Although it could not transform into a fourth, Ning Cheng could still feel the celestial river continuously evolving. This bluestone slab was definitely a fire-attributed treasure. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng did not hesitate to take out the polar star nucleus. As soon as he took out the polar star nucleus, the celestial river attached to the bluestone slab immediately shot out a blue light. The blue light flashed and swept away the celestial river flame in Ning Cheng's hand. After a dozen breaths, the celestial river flame erupted with a temperature even more terrifying than the bluestone slab. Ning Cheng quickly picked up the girl standing on the bluestone slab. Otherwise, under the eruption of the celestial river flame, even if this girl was in an unconscious body-forging state, she would still be burnt to a crisp. As the temperature of the celestial river flame grew higher and higher, it even sucked in the surrounding flames. Ning Cheng had a spiritual connection with the celestial river flame, which allowed him to clearly feel that the celestial river flame was growing stronger and stronger. As time passed, Ning Cheng completely forgot about the woman in his arms and looked at the celestial river flame in surprise. After the celestial river flame evolved into a starry sky flame, it produced 4 golden lights. However, the celestial river flame did not stop there, and a 5th golden ring slowly formed on the surface of the flame. After another hour, the celestial river flame gave out a crisp sound and fell into Ning Cheng's palm. It looked like a starry sky flower bud that had just bloomed in the morning. Ning Cheng took out a piece of robe and wrapped it around the woman before putting it aside. He then looked at the celestial river flame in his hand with joy. At this moment, his attention was completely focused on the celestial river flame. The celestial river flame had finally grown to a level that he was extremely satisfied with. Feeling the powerful power contained within the celestial river flame, Ning Cheng suspected that if he used all his strength to blast out the celestial river flame, even a planet would collapse under the celestial river flame. With the flame growing to such a degree, Ning Cheng only had one desire in his heart, that is, to find a place to refine the Nirvana spear in his hand and refine it into his own weapon. Since he started to wander around, he had not found a weapon that he could use, which made him feel very distressed. The celestial river flame used the bluestone slab in the center of the volcanic island to evolve. Although the temperature of the volcanic island seemed to have dropped a bit, it still remained scorching hot. Ning Cheng did not care about the woman he had thrown to the side and continued to form restrictions on the bluestone slab. By now, he felt sure that this bluestone slab was not an ordinary treasure. Ning Cheng's current attainments in array formations were infinitely close to a starry sky grade 9 array formation. In other words, he would soon become a starry sky grade 9 array formation emperor. Although the bluestone slab emitted an astonishing flame temperature, under Ning Cheng's array formation restrictions, the temperature still slowly compressed. After half a day, Ning Cheng finally sealed the bluestone slab completely and put it into the 5 elements array formation in the mysterious yellow bead. The bluestone slab contained a terrifying temperature, so Ning Cheng did not dare to put this bluestone slab in his true spirit world. In case the bluestone slab's temperature erupted, wouldn't it destroy everything in his true spirit world? After Ning Cheng put away the bluestone slab, he felt the changes in his surroundings. The terrifying temperature of the volcanic island seemed to have been switched off, and it cooled down in an instant. Ning Cheng secretly rejoiced in his heart. Sure enough, it was this bluestone slab. Then he saw the pieces of purple light treasure essence around him. After the celestial river flame advanced to a grade 5 starry sky flame, the purple light treasure essence no longer had much use for Ning Cheng. However, Ning Cheng would never let go of such a worldly treasure. Soon, he collected nearly 100 pieces of purple light treasure essence. After Ning Cheng took away the bluestone slab emitting flames, it felt as if it had lost its bones. The bottom of the island started to emit crackling sounds. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and understood that the island was about to sink. He grabbed the unconscious female cultivator who only knew how to operate a body-forging cultivation method and rushed out of the volcanic island. Not long after Ning Cheng left the volcanic island melted at the fastest speed, just like a piece of dry soil falling into the water. An hour later, Ning Cheng stopped on another island. He placed the female cultivator on the side and sealed her with an array formation. He couldn't wait to bring out the celestial river flame and then took out the Nirvana spear. He didn't know what materials were used to craft the Nirvana spear, but he believed that if he used the Nirvana spear's materials and the twilight sand, he could craft a top-grade spear. The celestial river flame fell on the Nirvana spear and made crackling sounds. To Ning Cheng's disappointment, even if his celestial river flame advanced to a grade 5 starry sky flame, it still had no effect on the Nirvana spear. When the flame fell on the Nirvana spear, it couldn't even cause a ripple, let alone refine the Nirvana spear. A day later, Ning Cheng put away the Nirvana spear in disappointment. He really couldn't understand how a spear handle, obtained from a place without any cultivators, could turn out to be so hard. From the looks of it, he would have to continue to endure the torment of not having a suitable weapon. Opening the restriction again, he took out the woman he rescued. Ning Cheng decided to wake her up first and then go their separate ways. Previously, Ning Cheng had been focused on the advancement of the celestial river flame and refining the Nirvana spear. As such, he didn't care about this woman's appearance. He only knew that this woman had a perfect body. It wasn't surprising. Body-forging cultivators, whether male or female, all had perfect figures. Now that Ning Cheng noticed this woman's appearance, he couldn't help but feel even more amazed. Not only did this woman have a perfect body, but she also had a perfect face. Long-term body forging had caused her hair and eyebrows to turn yellow. However, with a beautiful jade-like nose, slightly closed soft lips, and a white oval face, it did not look out of place. Apart from Yuqing and Qianghua, Ning Cheng really couldn't find any woman more beautiful than her. After hesitating for a while, Ning Cheng took out a leaf from the rootless green bamboo. He tore the leaf in half and put it into the female cultivator's mouth. This female cultivator's essence spirit had drifted around for a long time, causing it to turn unstable. To deal with unstable essence spirits or even losing their essence spirits, the rootless green bamboo was the most effective and simplest method. In just an incense stick worth of time, the female cultivator opened her eyes. She suddenly sat up. Her eyes swept around, while her spiritual consciousness also stretched out. Soon, her gaze fell on Ning Cheng. "Did you save me?" Ning Cheng felt a little strange. Didn't they say that the first thing a woman would do when she woke up was to check her body for any abnormalities? This woman obviously wasn't wearing a veil. Moreover, she was wearing one of his clothes. Why did she turn a blind eye to it and instead ask if he saved her? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.